Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Murder Church. Good morning, Murder Church. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Yeah, got a lot of fun folks in here. Hell yeah, nice morning. Thanks everyone for being here. Appreciate it. Please hit the old like ski as you come through the door. Helps us out here. Get us started in the algorithm on YouTube this morning. Please share this out to your community as well. Let people know that you're watching Murder Church this morning with Publicly Buzzed Live. And yeah, I appreciate everybody for being here. Really appreciate that. Let me see who's hanging out here. Who's in the pews early? Melissa was here early. Hey, Melissa, thank you for being here. Dixie, Kyle, what's going on, Kyle? Kyle, I still got to make your soundbite. Damn it. Megsy, Hope Ate Fear, Say No to Globalism. Kelly Gale, Jay, what's going on, brother? Disney Nerd, City Kitty, Anna, Brooklyn, Todd. Hell yeah, Full House, My Clad Games. Kaylin, good morning. Hell yeah, for one thing I know I got to do is fix the chat so I can actually pop it up so we can get that up on the screen. For sure. That is for sure. For 2 seconds here. Bam, there we go. There we go. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thank y'all very much. Boom, there we go. Hope Ate Fear popping up there. Hope everybody's doing good. Yeah, we're going to get into Murder Church again, week 16. We're going back in time just a little bit, thanks to Megsy last week calling out that we did miss part 6 of Dr. Frederick Fosdal's testimony. So we're going back to the psychiatrist who we all know and love. Ended up kind of not liking the guy at first because of the mouth noises, but he ended up being a kind of gentle soul who I did end up enjoying. So yeah, we're going to go back and watch just a little bit more of him, and then we'll continue on through Murder Church. But yes, good morning. And yeah, we'll go to about 12:30, 12:45 per usual, and then 1 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen, you will portal over to Jay's stream today, where he's got Mac and Joe on today, and they're going to be talking a little bit of Long Island serial killers, so you're not going to want to miss that as well. Blue Sky, just saw that Brooklyn, just unreal. I just saw a new name, Blue Sky. Welcome in here. Thank you very much. So you guys are talking about the dude from it's on what day 11 now. Out there, good morning. And Stole a Van, good morning. Strict 9, Michael, everybody popping in here. Thank y'all so much. Appreciate it. Oh, yeah, dude, that portal's going to get everybody right where they need to be as soon as this ends. So do not go away. You do not have to do anything. Unless you're on your phone, maybe. I'm not sure. Sometimes the portal didn't work. But theoretically, you should portal from this stream into Jay's badass nooner. Huh? You're going to have a nooner. Oh, no, it's everything. I totally skipped it. Megsy, you're the MVP of Murder Church. Your knowledge of the Dahmer trial is amazing, quite frankly. Well, let's rock and roll, people. Let's see what's going on again. Dr. Fosdal, welcome back, sir. Let's go back in time. Boom, make sure the sound is working.
Be seated, please. Go ahead, Mr. Porter.
Thank you. Doctor, when you talked with Jeffrey Dahmer, did he ever tell you...
Oh, shit. I did it 2 weeks in a row, folks. Forgot the bells. Still see folks coming in here, though. I still see folks coming in here. I'm giving everybody a chance to get the initial Murder Church bells. But right quick, Anna, 2 months. 2-month anniversary is what that son of a bitch is, and I'm going to call that out right now because that's amazing. I love seeing it.
Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Anna. Thank you very much. 2 months goes by so fast when you're having fun, doesn't it? Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And then she's also going to come through and gift out a membership. That's how amazing the members here are in J-Buzz Nation, folks. And she's going to gift that out to Sarah D. Irish. Welcome to the party, pal. Wow. Give out the beers, give out the mimosas, give out the drinks early.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Hell yeah. And we'll give you a satisfying pour of 3 brewskis at 9 in the morning. I don't care what anybody says. That's a good time.
Welcome to the party, pal. Give me the loot. Give me the loot.
I'm a bad man. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Hell yeah. Get her started early. That's what I like to see, folks. Sarah, you will not be disappointed in the membership here. And yes, we have to get the bells in play. I know Viv is here for the bells. And we got another membership, another 3-month anniversary for the members. And that's a Disney nerd with a 3-monther right there. Woo, 3 months and it's been amazing. Holy shit. That's 3 months.
Happy anniversary. Anniversary! It's anniversary!
Thank you so much, beers in chat, folks. And oh my God, another a month coming through here. Kelly Gale. Has it already been a month, Kelly? Holy crap.
Happy anniversary.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. I love it.
Give me the loot! Give me the loot!
Yeah, that's how you start Murder Church out, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here, as you can see, the community is absolutely astounding. They're amazing. Unmatched, quite frankly. The J-Buzz Nation combination, you can't match it, baby. You can't match it. Beers in chat, rolling, rocking and rolling, baby. Viv, you're going to get those bills. Welcome to Murder Church. Love you guys. Thank y'all so much. Seriously. You guys seriously don't know what it means just to be here and hanging out. Emily, thank you. Boom. Coming in here. Came in right as the bells were ringing. I love it. You guys are the best.
About any instances in his life that you would consider to be, quote, in any way illusionary, hallucinatory, or anything of that nature?
No, I did not.
How about the altar? When he talked to you about the altar, he talked to you about that on 2 occasions, didn't he?
He mentioned it in perhaps my 3rd interview. That was
had
one
a
of
good
my
weekend,
follow-up
Emily?
questions, and that's one reason why I wanted to meet with him once
Everyone
more
had a good
for
weekend.
wrap-up purposes, and that's why I met with him the last time, to at least get a comment from him on that. Did you ask for my interpretation of that?
I would like to know whether or not his discussion with you about what he intended to do with all of these body parts was in any way delusional.
I did not interpret it as delusional. It was certainly unusual, bizarre, of course, but sexual alters are not, let's say, it's not unheard of in major cases involving sexual crimes, but it's certainly unusual, and I think it follows his memento historical kind of interest. It would have been a source of stimulation and a further offshoot, as he called it, a further source of sexual stimulation, and certainly unusual, but not delusional or not a psychotic manifestation.
Did you ask him what he intended on receiving from creating this altar?
You're talking about the power,
What did he tell you? Yes, sir.
Oh, he wanted to derive power from it, yes.
Did you ask him what he meant by this altar of objects that he was going to draw power from, what he meant by that?
Yes, I did.
And what did he tell you?
May I read his comments?
Absolutely. Tell us what date you're at.
This was discussed during my last interview, which would have been
January 9th?
January 9th.
But that isn't the first time you heard about it.
No, like I said before, it was mentioned earlier when he mentioned the black table. But something else, we were into something else, and I did not get back to the black table. And that's when he first alluded to an altar, and that the black table would have been part of that.
Let me just interrupt, if I may, Doctor, not to change your train of thought, but to ask you this. Did you start to learn that this business about the table and the altar was becoming greater than you thought it to be, that caused you to go back and talk to him one more time, or was it just something you were planning on doing anyway?
No, it was on my list of unfinished questions. In a case like this, you leave, and no matter how much time you spend on this case, even to this day, there are questions that I have since thought of that I could ask him, and pretty soon it becomes almost an interminable issue. So you just draw a line. But it was a follow-up question, and one reason why I wanted to see him again for completeness' sake.
What did you ask him about what this power was all about?
Okay, that's referring to my notes. Perhaps you know the exact page.
Probably do if I look, but you're
Well,
not.
I have it right here. Let me know.
Go ahead and
I
read,
can
tell
find
me
it.
the page. All right, let's look at page 55. When you said to him, you kept some stuff, it wasn't all junk for you. He said, no, I wanted to keep the skulls and sometimes the genitals, so I didn't feel like I was losing the person completely. Was that delusional thinking?
No, I did not interpret it as delusional thinking. That refers to his still maintaining some sense of the person, memento, historical type effect. He also used these objects for sexual stimulation, but at least it was not a complete loss. A concern of his was he goes through all this and has little to show for it. One case he mentioned, all I had left was a box of bones. The skulls were a memento, just a remnant of the person that he formerly was interested in. So that was the purpose that the skulls served for him. He was not left completely empty-handed. But that was not necessarily. The skulls are related to the table and the altar in that they would have been part of the ornaments of the altar. And
Doctor, I'll let you do whatever you want to do, but so I don't lose my train of thought. Tell me what delusional is, then maybe a definition.
yes. Delusional, it's a thought. Delusional thinking is a psychotic symptom, and as we mentioned Saturday, or maybe we didn't, psychosis is we did mention it. Psychosis is a degree of impairment that certain psychiatric disorders can have. So not every disorder has psychotic symptoms. Some do. And a common psychotic symptom is delusional thinking, where the individual develops ideas that are not based on reality.
Okay.
And they are part of an illness.
So they're part of an illness, but just before you said they are thoughts that are not based on reality.
That's true.
Now, let's talk about eating another person's body parts to want those people that you killed to become a part of you. Is that delusional thinking?
I did not interpret it that way. I can explain my interpretation if you want.
It's what, please?
I did not interpret it as delusional thinking. I interpreted it differently.
What did you interpret it as?
That again is similar to maintaining a skull in a memento type fashion.
Have you ever...
The eating of body parts was in part initiated by curiosity, and then also in part that I would say, not experimental, but just an experiential way that perhaps that's the ultimate in having somebody become part of you in a symbolic way, in a very temporary way. So it's kind of a symbolic thing rather than being, he does not really believe that he eats some muscle and now the soul or that person is now embodied in him. Okay.
He never told you that he was eating them so that their soul would be embodied.
No, that was my word, but that the person was now with him and within him, lived within him, his spirit was in him. It was just a symbolic gesture.
Didn't he tell you that that's one of the reasons he was eating the body parts, so that the people would continue to be with him by virtue of the fact that he ate part of their bodies?
The experience, not that he was going to, as he walked around, he was harboring these people, no.
How about how many people have you ever dealt with in your practice that ever ate body parts of somebody they killed?
It's happened, we're certainly talking, less than 5, perhaps a couple. I'd have to think about cannibalism.
Were any of those people who engaged in those forms of cannibalism found by you that they were delusional in their desire to engage in this cannibalism?
Do not know. All I can tell you is this type of phenomenon, you certainly, because of its bizarreness, certainly part of your differential diagnostic concern is whether or not the person is, let's say, schizophrenic and doing this for, and that this is a manifestation of primarily a schizophrenic or psychotic illness.
When Jeffrey Dahmer told you that he was bringing people back to his apartment that he wanted to create zombies, that he drilled these poor people with an idea of somehow or another destroying their intelligence lobe so that they would be there for him. Did you consider that to be delusional thinking?
No, not at all. I think that was a realistic attempt on his part to somehow disable a living person but not kill them. He was looking for an intermediate process here to avoid the work and must have been drudgery of the disposal.
Yeah.
You can knock somebody on the head and put them in an indefinite coma. A brain damaged person in a coma would have been just what he was looking for. That would have satisfied his process very well. Where he got the idea to drill from and inject and somehow damage the brain, I do not know. While he was telling me this, the neurosurgical corollary or parallel of a lobotomy, which used to be an old-fashioned psychiatric and medical treatment for advanced schizophrenic conditions before medications, that parallel never crossed my mind until much later. So in a way, it was just, so I don't know where he got that notion that maybe this is one way I can lay this person up.
Did you ask him where you got the notion?
I would assume I did. I mean, that's a natural follow-up question. I don't know if it's in my notes, but
Certainly not in any of the notes you've read here.
if it's not in there, then I either did not write it down and/or I did not ask him. But it's certainly a follow-up question.
How many, have you ever had cases where people drilled people's heads to destroy, well, any homemade lobotomies where the object of these people's conduct was to cause the unfortunate victim of those attempts to become zombie-ized, as Mr. Dahmer explained to you, for any purpose whatsoever? Did you ever have any cases like that?
I'm sure this is a first time internationally.
First time internationally?
Sure.
Now, you know...
But of course, I don't know every crime internationally, but Mr. Dahmer is setting some precedents here.
Sure. The fact of the matter is, you know, as a doctor of medicine, that what he was attempting to do could not have worked, correct?
Well, again, I can give you an unofficial neurosurgical opinion on that. Depends on what part of the brain he is drilling into as to what type of damage you're going to get. It's similar to a stroke, which blood vessel is ruptures and what part of the brain is affected by the stroke, and that determines what type of damage you will get. It's possible that I would assume somebody could have been impaired and disabled had he hit a blood vessel and caused a mechanical stroke, and the person could bleed to death. Then there's always a risk of infection and what have you. But I think it's possible that a person could be somehow damaged in a certain part of the brain and survive, and then the person is subsequently brain damaged.
And you don't...
So I would say it's theoretically possible that that could have worked.
Okay,
Now, a neurosurgeon might say, Fazil, it's a good thing you're in neurosurgery and you belong in psychiatry. So.
Okay. Let me ask you this, Dan. Let's assume that as you're talking to Jeffrey Dahmer, learning these things that are so unique, you've never heard anything like them before or since, as you have already told us. Did you say to him something like, well, Jeffrey, let's say that you succeeded. How long were you going to keep them? Was he going to raise them from the time of whatever their age was until when? Did you ask him any questions about how could you possibly think that you could create a zombie and did you go into that inquiry?
Yes, I did.
Okay, tell us about that. What his plans were.
Yeah, well, this came up a few times, and again, referring to my notes on page 26, again, the crux of a psychiatric forensic evaluation is to understand behavior, and of course, motive is very important. And on page 26, I'm quoting him as saying, I was trying to think of a way to not have to kill them, which was my understanding. On page 27, he called it an experiment. It never worked out. On the same page, he said he wanted the individuals to be, quote, open to my suggestion. I wanted an indefinite effect. The purpose was that they would be alive, the bodies would be preserved, but their personality would be made, quote, zombie, and that's clearly his word, not mine. So I wouldn't have to go out
I thought it was crazy to use the word zombie. I wanted to make them zombies.
looking for partners. So one of the logistical work involved here is finding, besides disposal, is finding people. The advantage of having a lover is you don't have to look very far. But in his situation, tremendous time and energy and money to find a partner. On page 45, he said, quote, I wanted someone to stay around that was alive, which makes sense, unquote. He used an electric drill. Quote, I didn't want to have to keep killing, implying that the killing wasn't a good, that program was not working out. That had drawbacks. And just end up with a skull. He didn't have much to show for it after a few days. On page 48, quote, he said, I didn't want to keep on doing it, killing him. That's why I tried the drill technique. So it was an attempt to, this is entering a new phase in this case. On page 52, he said no, because that was the only mechanism, and he's referring to drilling, that I could get complete control at the time. It was only later on that I tried to change that to render them in a zombie-like state, to keep them alive, so they would be with me for a much longer period of time, alive, interactive, but on my terms.
Okay, now is it your belief that if he had succeeded in creating a zombie, that he would not have killed again?
That would have been a definite way out of his predicament.
I'm asking you what your belief.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
You say if he could have created a zombie, he would have kept the zombie with him and never killed again.
Oh, I think unless you wanted two zombies, absolutely. That was a solution to his dilemma.
What was the first victim that he attempted the zombie on? What number, do you know?
Oh, you know, he told me it's in here.
It was after a number of victims.
Pardon me? Oh, yeah, it was later. I know he did it on Doc Stater. If somebody knows, we could speed this up.
Well, it was some time into his killing.
Oh, yes, this was much later because he needed the prior experience of the disposal and the drawbacks and what have you to begin thinking of alternatives.
Knowing that that's what he was telling you, that that's what his ultimate goal was, and knowing that it was not possible, you set aside the fact that what he was really telling you was delusional thinking, correct?
Well, like I said earlier, I think, again, ask a neurosurgeon, I think there is a possibility that he could have damaged a person, and he could have been successful in this approach. A neurosurgeon might say I'm all wet, but I think, like I've already explained this response, had it worked out, yes, indeed, this would have been a solution to his dilemma.
Did you ask him, let's assume that you were able to do that, Mr. Dahmer, how would he have been able, did you ask him how he would have been able to go about his business with somebody in his apartment when he was at work? How do you feed them? How do you clothe them? If you go away on a trip, how are you going to manage that? Did you get into that discussion with him to find out what his thought processes were, how he was going to create this zombie or not?
Well, we know how he was going to create it. How he's going to care for it is what you're asking. I did not get into much later details, but he did, in fact, on one case, he went off to work twice with this person still in the zombie state. So it's just like leaving a child or your cat at home alone without a body sitter or a babysitter, and came back.
Still trying to wake up this morning, folks. I was up a little bit too late, per usual. I was up to about 2 this morning, listening to old classic Coast to Coast AM episodes. I was actually listening to some Ghost to Ghost AM. It was from Halloween night. I don't even remember what year it was, but it was, of course, Art Bell, taking calls and listening and telling ghost stories, and it was pretty dope.
Back the second time and was disappointed that the person had died. His hope was to keep the person that the person would be alive. One time he came back and he was pleased and happy to see the person alive, but disappointed that the person was in a coma. Spent much of a Tuesday, I believe, trying to get the person more alert. Now the person was too comatose, but
So the fact...
later on feeding and bathroom care and that stuff, no, I did not pursue this thing endlessly.
All right.
The important thing to me, it told me that, and Mr. Dahmer confirmed this on a few occasions, what this meant to me is, at least as far as his first choice, as his real sexual interest was not in a corpse, let's say, but in fact that he was more interested in homosexual behavior with a live body rather than a corpse, and that takes it out of the pure or exclusive necrophilic category. At least that's one thing that suggests that this guy's not a pure necrophile.
Sure, you as a matter of fact, when you met with him on January the 9th, you said to him, and if you want, I don't even know what page it is, but before you got into this business about the altar, you said to him, I think we kind of ruled out a pure necrophilic drive.
I think that's just life, yeah. Hard to find that perfect balance between alive and dead.
These are your words. I need to have the guy dead so I can do my sex thing. I want to do things homosexually with this person. And also I want to control this guy. So the issue is when we are talking about trying to control someone and not kill them, we are talking about putting your desires for homosexual behavior and also your desires for passivity. That's what you said to Jeffrey Dahmer. And he says, if it was a pure necrophilic drive, I wouldn't have ever started using the drilling technique to render them in a permanent zombie-like state. That's what his answer was.
True.
So what he says to you, that if it was a pure necrophilic drive, which are exactly the same words that you said to him, I think we kind of ruled out a pure necrophilic drive, correct? He used exactly your words.
Appears that way.
Yeah. And then you said, we haven't talked much about the altar. You brought it up, but I didn't ask you much.
That's crazy. That's crazy as hell.
Crucial? And he said, that was a center I was constructing in a bedroom with skulls on the table of the victims, 2 complete skeletons standing on each side, a large lamp with blue globe lights to give the room a dark blue mysterious effect, and with 2 incense burners on the end of the table. That was where I was planning on. And you said, did you get that far? He said, no, nothing got set up. It was to get in contact with the spiritual forces to gain power, to perform rituals, to contact, I guess, demons or Satan. And then you said, do you believe in that stuff? And he says, yeah, and the purpose of it was to draw power to me in all aspects of my life, financial, social, sexual. If 6 more months had gone by, it would have been completely set up. I already had the table and planned on getting the lamp. All I needed was the lamp and the chair. Isn't that what he said to you?
Yes,
And you have discounted that as being delusional thinking.
that's true. Unusual, but not delusional.
Okay. You told us that people have before kept things as mementos for things they've done sexually. If I'm wrong, correct me. Have you ever in the course of your practice as a psychiatrist had anyone who explained that their homicides, amongst other things, were going to be producing an altar or a shrine or whatever you want to call it in order for them to put something together so that they could draw power from it? Did you ever have anybody like that before?
That rings a bell, yes.
Huh?
That rings a bell, yes.
How many times?
Oh, I can't, we're talking few. The issue here is there are crimes that involved some occult belief systems, satanic kind of stuff, and some of these people get into alterish kind of symbolic kind of things with skulls and all kinds of stuff going on, and candles and incense, and they're assuming all kinds of things going on.
Are they paraphilics only?
There's certainly, not uncommonly, some pretty unusual sexual behavior going on too.
But people you're talking about, were they paraphilics or were they people who are suffering from psychosis? The ones that you just...
I think with the altar kind of, these were just people that were into this kind of way of thinking, occult beliefs, satanic kind of stuff, and not psychotic and not even paraphilic. It was just an unusual group, subgroup in our society.
Okay, but they weren't even paraphilic either?
No, no.
Okay. Am I correct in what I just said?
That's what I'm saying. They were just into, like, Rosemary Baby type stuff, the movie there.
Were they committing homicides?
The witches in Rosemary's Baby?
No, the people that you're talking about that weren't psychotic, weren't paraphilic, but were making
Well, certainly various forms of illegal sexual behavior was going on, from child molestation. I'd have to think if there was any actual human sacrifice involved, but that's all part of the same can of worms.
Doctor, it's clear that this is this the most unique case as you have described? I mean, I don't remember what word you used before, but internationally or something you said. How unique is it?
Oh, I would assume Mr. Dahmer is a precedent.
Okay.
There certainly been multiple, numbers of homicides, but I think what he was up to and the manner that he was doing things, I can't imagine that anybody has done anything similar to this. People have been killed for a variety of reasons, but I would assume this is a first.
A first.
Internationally, sure.
Does it matter then, well, first of all, you know that Dr. Berlin, Dr. Becker, and Dr. Wallstrom, but certainly Becker and Berlin, are on this subcommittee for the study of paraphilic behaviors. You're aware of that?
I'm aware they're on the committee, and I'm also aware that they are work primarily in the assessment and treatment of sexual disorders, which is a most commendable area of psychiatry to try to do something for, over the years, not a popular area of psychiatry to work in.
Yes. When you say it's not popular, you mean
Well, child molesters and impulsive people with, you name it, people on probation and people in trouble with the law who, this type of thing. These aren't the kind of people that walk into your office and call for an appointment and say, I've been molesting my stepdaughter or something. These people, you meet them because they get in trouble.
Sure. Obviously, you have a great deal of respect for people who do that.
Oh, it's very noble. I mean, it's more noble than my being in court. I'm not helping any person by being a forensic psychiatrist. Those people are trying to help unfortunate people, yes.
And as a result of that, you would, if you were a practicing psychiatrist and somebody with a severe paralytic disorder came to you, you might very well consider sending that person to somebody that has spent their lives working with people with paraphilic disorders, correct?
Oh, absolutely. I can think a few institutions in this state that would, we need this type of expertise, by all means.
See, we're going to move fast now because I think I
Good.
pretty much understand where we're at. You have told us that you saw no delusions in spite of the fact of the things that I've mentioned, and I don't want to harp on them in order to make a point. We're all bright enough to understand what I suggested was things that caused me some concern, and you've explained them, and I'll accept your answers. Now, what I want to know is this. Does the fact of the homicides, now this, maybe I'm going to get in trouble when I ask, I'm going to try it though. Does the fact of the homicides, if there weren't any homicides, and he did all of these other things, he would still be suffering from a paraphilic disorder, correct? Rendering people...
Yes, he's sexually disordered.
Okay.
Whether or not, even before he went the step of killing people.
Now, let's take him up to the moment of the homicide, and he doesn't kill. He sexually assaults, clearly having sex with somebody who's in an unconscious state, drilling somebody and trying to make them zombies. These are all crimes.
And slipping drugs.
That's what I'm saying,
Right.
yeah. And slipping drugs and
This could be a
doing...
case of endangering somebody's safety by
Or attempt murder.
whatever you want, and certainly disorderly conduct,
Sure.
at least.
Yeah. But it would have been very, very serious misbehavior.
Right. We don't have to have deaths to support a sexual disorder here.
Sure. And those crimes were the issue, whether or not he could conform his conduct to the requirements of the law. Your answer would be that he could at all times conform his conduct to requirements of law in spite of his mental disease because he did not lack the substantial capacity not to conform, correct?
Right. Bacon, may I expand for 1 second?
You can do anything
Thank
you
you.
want.
Basically, the motive for drugging the person was essentially the same as the motive for killing the person, but just a milder and less fatal, less lethal program. And that's certainly just to maintain the relationship with a living person. So were he charged with endangering safety or something like that, yeah, he did not have to. He could have controlled which people he was going to attempt to drug and things like that.
Now, with that in mind then, the homicides, albeit the worst part of everything that happened was the worst part. The homicides obviously were the fait accompli. Your answer is that Jeffrey Dahmer, in spite of his mental disease, did not lack substantial capacity to conform his conduct to requirements of law, correct?
True.
Okay, now, the fact that he planned where to go, planned the kind of people he wanted, how he conned them into coming back, how he took them by cab and got out 3 blocks from his house, how he put powder in their drink having first mixed it, are all those kinds of things that he was doing such that as a experienced psychiatrist, you are making a conclusion that he could not have lacked substantial capacity because he was able to do all of these things towards the furtherance of his paralytic goals.
Yes, I am, and this relates to the, expanding again, how do you assess and evaluate wrongfulness and conformity for legal purposes?
Okay.
And I would state that
We got about another about 40 minutes left of this one. Oh, it's 1:19. We're at 31 minutes.
my process is the same process that a jury uses or somebody else, and that is that we, wrongfulness and conformity is an inference based on what people say and do. So if in fact I wear a mask when I rob my store, I'm trying to conceal my identity, I must be aware of the wrongfulness. So that I'm concluding from that, I'm inferring from the person's behavior and how he or she committed the crime. Similarly with conformity, it's an inference that an examiner makes, it's an inference that a jury makes, that type of thing. So it's inferential thinking.
And obviously, reasonable minds could differ on how they infer those.
Well, that's what's going on. In this case, we're all at the same thing, and some examiners are inferring lack of capacity to conform. I am inferring capacity to conform.
Okay, fair enough. Now, let's talk about the alcoholic. An alcoholic has a sickness, does he not? It's true.
Pardon me?
An alcoholic, isn't alcoholism a sickness?
It's a disorder, yes.
Yes, it's a disorder. Now, if the alcoholic, while he is in the sickness or the disorder of his alcoholism, hides bottles in places so he can go, and I want to make it clear, I'm not trying to put these in anywhere near the same category. I just want to get into your mind a little bit if I can. If the alcoholic is hiding his alcohol and is doing it at times when he can't be detected, drinking something that's keeping him from being having the smell, such as some alcohol they say doesn't have an odor like vodka, that he is only doing it when his family is out of the house. The fact that he makes those choices is not dispositive that he isn't an alcoholic, is it?
No, he is an alcoholic, and his alcoholism and his need for alcohol explains the motive behind much of his behavior.
And if he is an alcoholic who is a binge drinker and he only drinks from Saturday at noon until Sunday night at 6, the fact that he's able to not drink except during those times doesn't mean that he isn't an alcoholic, correct?
No, he still has alcoholism.
Let's talk about Jeffrey Dahmer's mental state as he's going through this killing spree. Is there such a concept of the growth of one's mental disorder? Do mental disorders get greater as time goes on, like a cancer might? Well, I think a cancer does grow until it's stopped. Do we have mental disorders that increase in their strength as one is going along the pattern of acting out on their mental disorders? Is that a fair concept?
Yes, the degree of impairment can increase. Let's say the schizophrenic illness starts out a gradual decompensation, a gradual worsening of the condition, and the longer the person is off medication, what have you, yes, some people become very, very floridly psychotic and over a period of time. So, and depression can become more and more depressed. That's
Oh, shit. We got a 2-month anniversary coming through here. Saw a bunch of anniversaries earlier, and that's amazing. And we got another one popping through right now with Joanne. 2 months. Thank you, Pasta Steve, for being such a cool dude. Thank you very much, first of all, for being here and being a member. That's out the gate the best thing that could possibly happen, Joanne. 2 months? Are you kidding me? That's absolutely unbelievable.
Baby, I got your money, don't you worry.
Give you some love. I'm going to give you a little bit of one of these guys right here. How about Kramer?
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary.
Larry David shit. You'll get the double dose. You get the double dose, Joanne. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You're amazing.
Let's talk about
medical course.
Let's talk about Jeffrey Dahmer's paraphilic disorder, whatever it is classified, and I understand the only classification you're giving it, it's a paraphilic disorder. Did that worsen in its intensity? That is the illness. Worsen in its intensity as he was going along his life's cycle, as he started going after the Hicks murder, through the Toomey murder, and continuing thereafter. Was that disorder intensifying in its strength, if there is a, that's kind of a bad thing to call it because it's a negative, but you know what I'm talking about.
For sure, his behavior became more reckless, and there was a worsening of his behavior, progression in the, let's say, number of deaths, and toward the end, a little more frequent, in part related to, let's say, his unemployment and other, but at least, yes, there was a progression here. Whether or not that's all due to his an increase in sexual need, or just more of a reflection of the other contributing factors, such as his, getting away with it, not feeling deterred, being successful at it, getting bolder, more increased intoxication, these types of things. It's a mixed picture, but certainly there was it didn't stay at a once-a-year phenomenon. It certainly was progressing.
Besides his behavior, there was a worsening of his mental disease as he prolonged, that was caused, amongst other things, by the fact that he was doing more, was making that mental disease worse, correct?
The fact that he was, I'm sorry.
Forgive me, could I have that question again? Mr. Boyles.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you were asking me? Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Question. Besides his behavior, things are worsening of a mental disease that was prolonged, caused, amongst other things, that he was doing more, was making that mental disease worse, correct?
Let me rephrase the question.
Thank you.
Do persons' paralytic disorders get worse, the disorder themselves, get worse without treatment?
That can happen.
If I have a paralytic disorder,
Paraphilic.
paraphilic disorder and I allow it to continue unabated, in spite of the fact I'm not acting out, is it your belief as a psychiatrist that unless I start getting some help that I'm going to become worse and worse as it is related to the paraphilic disorder?
Objection. Could we approach the bench on this?
Is this going to be a long argument? Or?
Let me rephrase it. Let me rephrase it.
Mr. Boyle wants to rephrase his question.
I think any rephrasing is going to raise the same issue.
Well, let me try it.
The form I'm objecting to is the subject.
Yeah, just so I think you understand, but so everybody else understands, the reason I raised the question how long the argument's going to take is that I think that if it's going to take a while, it's more appropriate that we excuse the jury so they can go to the comfort of the jury rooms, so much as it happens to be, rather than have to sit out here in the courtroom while we're proceeding with an argument back in chambers. It also facilitates considerable
Boyle's so mad.
We're here to be able to witness the argument rather than
Boyle's like, I'll be the judge today.
have to get a report of it secondhand.
If the court
The issue speaks to at 971.16.
Look at him.
4. Point 16 sub 4. Particularly the portion that starts at page 4762.
I know what he's talking about. Let me rephrase the question. I agree with you 100%. If I'm going into that, I can't, and I understand it. I'm not going to go into that. Let me try it this way. When one has a disorder of a paraphilic nature, does that disorder remain constant at all times? Can it dissipate and can it grow, or can it grow? You understand my question?
You can go in one of three directions.
Okay. So when it goes in a
That's what she said.
direction that is the wrong direction,
There they are, matches, 52 viewers, 52 likes, baby. Matching up, that's what I like to see. Thank you all so much for hanging out this morning. First hour into Murder Church. We still got a couple left to go. And yeah, already rocking and rolling this morning. Every week, Murder Church gets a little bit crazier, a little bit better. Everyone in here coming through and returning. That's how you know you got something that's happening and popping, because they come back. They're coming back through. They want some more Murder Church, baby. So,
Son of a bitch!
good stuff, baby. Ashy Snow going to come through with a $4.99. Good morning, friends. Ashy Snow, also welcome in here. I don't think I recognize that name, Ashy Snow. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of love back.
Give me the loot!
Love it. Thank you so much. That's awesome.
and a psychiatrist would obviously say the condition is worsening.
His behavior worsened.
Well, but let's assume there's no behavior involved. Just the thing itself. That's really what I'm asking. He doesn't act on it. He just has it, and it can go one of three ways. I can have a thought and get rid of it. I can have a thought and leave it at that thought and just continue with that thought and that thought alone. Or I can allow the thought to multiply and multiply, correct?
I'm trying to picture what you're asking, and the way I would respond is that in Mr. Dahmer's
No, a person...
situation.
No, I'm really asking both. I'm asking just a person who's got a paraphilic disorder.
Well, okay, the child molester. He's molesting children because first of all, his first choice is adult women. He fantasizes adult women. He buys adult women magazine. That's where he's at. But due to his feelings of personal and social inadequacy, his personality makeup, he's more comfortable. His ego is about the same size as the child he's molesting, and that's why he's relating at that level. That individual, with time can be mature, become more comfortable, can have a successful adult experience somehow and grow. And not resort to children anymore. That's a good way to go. Or he could, you're saying if there's no behavior, and that's just what he'd like to do, but he knows better and he never does it, that he can stew and be distressed for a lifetime. Or eventually, he gets over it. He doesn't think about it. A lot of I've known people that, former patient of mine, when he was younger, it was touch and go for a long time for him not to do what he wanted to do. And he got in trouble a few times. As he's gotten older, it's not an issue anymore.
Okay, that's what I want to know. Thank you. I want to ask you this. Did you talk to Tracy Edwards?
No.
Did you know before you saw Jeffrey Dahmer the last time that there was a fellow by the name of Tracy Edwards who had been with Jeffrey Dahmer for a period of about 4 to 6 hours and appeared for all practical purposes as his next victim? Did you know that person existed?
Yes, that's in the reports.
Did you, in any of the reports, read anything where Tracy Edwards was asked, and I'm talking about the reports, as to whether Jeffrey Dahmer was doing anything bizarre or not while the two of them were together? Did you read anything in the reports where that question was asked and discussed with Tracy Edwards?
I'm sorry, who am I asking?
I'm asking you if you found in the reports anything that gave you the answers to how Tracy Edwards said Jeffrey Dahmer was acting within that 4-hour period.
Edwards described what transpired. I don't recall him describing that Jeffrey Dahmer was bizarre or unusual.
Did you come to learn that Tracy Edwards did answer the fact that at some time during the time they were together, that Jeffrey Dahmer was, and I believe his testimony is in the record, and I don't want to misstate it, but when he went out and talked to the police, he used certain words about how he described Jeffrey Dahmer. He also told this jury about how Jeffrey Dahmer was chanting and rocking back and forth. Did you, before you came into court today, did you become aware of those facts?
Yeah, I was aware that that has been stated.
When did you become first aware that Tracy Edwards made that statement?
Oh, I think that's pretty recent.
Okay, now, is there a reason that a forensic psychiatrist, as qualified as you are, chose not to talk to a live witness, the potential 18th victim, and ask him how the person you were making a decision about was acting in the last few hours before the defendant was arrested?
Sure, I can be criticized for that. There are several people that I could have investigated endlessly. It becomes a matter of time, money, and you name it. But yes, there are other people. In this case, the way this has most commonly happened is that police reports have statements from people involved. And as an examiner, I certainly do not re-interview and take statements from a variety of people. Sometimes I do interview certain people. And also I recall, and I must have learned this from Mr. Dahmer, or maybe I learned in papers, that did not Mr. Edwards leave state for shortly after this happening and go south or in Texas? I do remember the feeling that he was not available. This person has since taken off. Then later I learned that he was maybe back in the area. So I guess he had some publicity himself. He had his own case going, and I seem to recall he was kind of really not a high likely type participant to interview. And I would accept whatever data is derived from police interrogation. That's the value of police reports. Other people are gathering information from a variety of sources, and it's just not my role to the cost and a variety of things. Time would be almost prohibitive to meet everybody involved, so you're quite selective in who you spend time with. Mr. Dahmer, in and by himself, required so much time.
Yeah. Your first meeting with him on 10/16 was background information primarily.
Right, I wanted to know who he was.
Sure. Your second meeting on 10/23 was pretty much background information, but you got into his early thought processes in his adolescence and young adulthood. Is that pretty clear?
I remember I needed some time frames and some organization, some overall organization to this case, where he was living, what's going on at different time frames, that type of a thing.
Your next meeting on October the 13th, the only homicides you talked about.
We back, baby. Oh, we're starting to get woke up here. Starting to get woke up. Thank you all so much again for hanging out this morning. We got about another, 20, 25 minutes left of Fosdal here before we finally are done with Fosdal. Again, all new people coming out, hanging out, lurking. Thank you all so much. We really love lurkers here in the J-Buzz Nation, quite frankly. We love people hanging out. I know sometimes it can be a lot to jump in the chat, but, we're friendly here. The people in chat are always friendly and always super welcoming. So, yeah, always love to see the new folks coming through. Make sure you're sharing this out, folks. Share this out to your communities. Let people know that you're hanging out at Murder Church. Every week this thing is growing a little bit further, a little bit more. So, can't say enough about it. I'll give you a little bit of this right now. Love you guys. Thank y'all so much. I think I might have missed a little something right here. Tangled Crochet, $10, passing the plate around. Gotta love Murder Church. Thank you so much. And I'm going to throw one of these out. Maybe we can summon Holly Berry.
I'm telling you like it is, baby.
And what I ain't played in a while. I don't think, we don't give Jim Leahy enough love around here anymore, huh?
I'm sober enough to know what I'm doing, and I'm drunk enough to really enjoy doing it.
No, JB, no, I just go to the store and get that. I just go to the store and buy that, if that's what I think you're talking about. Thank y'all so much. And then I think down here just a little bit further. Hold on. Lisa's going to come through with the $2.99, placing the plate from the back row. Oh, man, she's sitting back there in the back. We love, again, sitting in the back. We got plenty of pews, ladies and gentlemen. Love it. And then right underneath, my Clad Games just became a Buzzed and Confused member. Wow, thank you so much. Now, that's what I like to see. Let me, first of all, welcome to the party. And then we'll crack you 3 of these satisfying pours. Boom. I don't care if it is 10 in the morning. You're going to get some beers, baby. I love it. Thank you so much, my Clad Games. Seriously. Absolutely appreciate the hell out of that. And, yeah, make sure my mic's on. I'm going to go down here and then be like, mic's off. Nope, we're good. Oh, yeah, we're good, baby. Mic's finally on. Oh, man, I got to hold on. Do you ever look for a T-Pain clip? You probably are too busy. No, I need a T-Pain clip, and then I need to also do the Kyle clip. That needs to be done immediately. Good call, I am T-Pain. But, yeah, I still got to get that going. And I've got my list right here as well. Hold on. Put it right in front of my face. So I can do it because I love you. Also Kyle. I remember he said that last week. I saw Kyle in here earlier. Boom. And Ashy Snow's going to come through and become a member today. Wow. Thank you so much. New hanging out, new chatting, and coming through and becoming a member. Boom. And now you know what we're going to do? We're going to have to do it all over again, baby.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Boom. And we're going to pour 3 more satisfying pours for Ashy right here on Murder Church. Boom. Now, we give you a liquor drink. We may give you a beer. We may give you a mimosa. We may just give you a coffee that might have a little something in it. You never know. Here on Murder Church on Publicly Buzzed, baby. The Bo Effect. Mandy knows. Mandy knows. That's right. Kyle knows. Yeah, that's right. That's right, Kyle. Yeah, I still got to get you, Kyle. I want to get you a clip. You called that out last week. You're the man. And then, yeah, I want to get T-Pain a clip as well. And then Tracy's going to come through right behind him before I can even get back into the video. I love it, though. Let's do it. Tracy. Boom. Bam. $5. Let's go. Done woke up, folks. Done woke up. Had to get that first one out of the way. If you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. And we're getting it, baby. And we're getting it. And we're getting it. And we're getting it. I'll give you one more. Shit, we're going. Right here, I'm still here lingering day 6 in the hospital, hoping to have to go home today. Well, I hope you get to go home too, Kyle. Damn, 6 days in the hospital does not sound fun at all. That sounds horrible. Wow, I hope you're doing okay also, man. There you go. Murder Church Coffee has Baileys in it, and I love some Baileys as well, Dixie. You know what's up. You know what's up. Give me the loot. Give me the loot. I love a little bit of. Now I keep saying it every single week. I got to get some new songs on here. But these are great songs. Like, I love these right here in particular. But I want to get a couple of new ones to throw out there. Joanne's going to come in with a $5 donation from Brazil Tree Frog Search Squad. Holy shit. Deep. And I'll give you one of these just to mix it up a little bit more. Boom. What else we got here? I'm going to throw it all out here. We're getting crazy. Everybody's about to get some extra bells. Extra bells come out. You don't know what's going on Murder Church when extra bells start rolling, baby. Oh shit, Chickadee! I want our server. I won't overserve myself with edibles this morning, so no worries. I won't email you today. Hey, emails are always open. PubliclyBuzzed@gmail.com. I'm always looking to see what everybody wants to say. Please follow us on. Please follow me at PubliclyBuzzed on Twitter, and follow Dan at PubDan. Let me just put Ricky in the chat there. Make sure you're following Dan on Twitter as well. And get him more active. I saw he was tweeting a little bit last night about UFC. He's a big fight fan. And yeah, man. Love it. Thank y'all so much. This is fun as hell. The best. Oh, everybody knows it. You got to get just a little something. Just a little something. You know what I'm saying? Joe's going to come in also. He knows, though. Yeah, the hospital is not where you want to be at all. But yeah, after this show, speaking of Joe, you do not want to miss. You're going to get portaled immediately out of this into an amazing stream with Jay and Shannon as they have guest Joe Jackalone and Cheryl Mack McCullen on, as they're going to be talking a little bit of Long Island serial killer and update you guys on what's going on with Rex Heuermann and any updates on any new folks that they might be tying to Rex Heuermann. So it's going to be some good stuff. Again, you don't have to do anything. Immediately after this, you're going to be portaled out of this stream immediately into theirs. Now, I will say sometimes I've heard on the phones, maybe you don't get to, maybe the portal doesn't work as well, so you may have to go find that. But theoretically, you should be portaled out of this stream immediately into their stream, and you can hang out for a little while. I don't know how the timing is going to work. We usually go to about 12:31 here, but it should time out pretty much perfectly to where you'll go right into another badass and dank, if I can use that word, stream, folks. So yeah, everyone hanging out here this morning, let's rock and roll, keep her going, and love y'all. Thank y'all so much.
As specific homicides was 2 or 3, right?
Maybe specifically, but certainly throughout the interviews, certainly the second and third, there was certainly a general discussion.
Hey, I got another congratulations right here. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but Kayland reached 40,000 subscribers on Twitter. Are you fucking kidding me? That's an insane accomplishment on Twitter. That's awesome. That's cool as hell, Kaylin. Thank you. And I was thanking her. Congratulations is what I wanted to say, Kaylin. That's amazing. And then also got a shout out from fucking the Fonz. Henry Winkler. Are you kidding me? That blew my mind. She sent me that and I was like, all right. Okay, that's the cool. I thought her to bring Fonz with her this morning. I don't know why Fonzie isn't in here hitting a jukebox in the corner over there. But man, congratulations, Kaylin. CR, boom. $5 passing the plate around. She wanted to hear it one more time. Is she going to get it?
Give me the loot. Give me the loot.
Thank y'all so much. Boom. I told Steve we need our own feral as custom emoji for a rabid raccoon possum. Yes, let me put that on the note as well down here. I need to do that. We'll do that today. Feral raccoon. I'm going to do raccoon just because of the conversation from Friday with Dan and Chris. And anybody that will not see the interview with Christopher Dewitt from Friday on Feral Friday, please go and watch that. That was one of our best interviews, I think. And the 2 banger interviews back to back. We had Kerry Rawson on the week before that, and this time we had on a man that has talked to over 150 killers, ladies and gentlemen. And he was very intriguing to talk to, and we will hopefully have him back. He's an awesome guy, and it's really cool to just have him around. Bobby Hansen coming through. Good morning. Good morning. You got me. You got me. Oh, no. 40K is amazing. That's insanity. 300. I mean, that's the thing. It's not easy. Getting to that first K was insanity. Like, it's not easy at all. There we go. Adam rolling through here right now. Right now, baby. Where's that Cletus? Is that Cletus in here? Loving it. Thank y'all so much coming through. It was amazing. When you sent me that, the fonts, I was like, he wished you, me wishing congratulations? Oh, fuck, whatever. The fonts wished Kaylin congratulations. Like, the actual fonts. Fishing all day yesterday. I'm not sure everybody noticed or seen, but I keep up with the fonts. Motherfuckers out here fishing.
Question is general motive, what that type of thing.
The fourth interview on December the 20th is where you went through each and every one of the homicides.
True.
Now, you have testified in the courts of the state of Wisconsin for the past how many years?
20.
And is it safe to say that if one were to say, just so you understand, I know you and I respect you and I'm not trying to embarrass you, I'm just asking some questions.
Thank you.
If it's safe to say that Dr. Fosdel's primary field of psychiatry is forensic, which means that he spends a great deal of time in the criminal justice system determining whether people are mentally ill and competent to stand trial and investigating matters of that type.
For several years, it's flip-flopped. 20 years ago, forensic practice was forensic inpatient psychiatry, outpatient psychiatry. By the late 70s, I could not have 3 patients in Madison General Hospital and be in a Milwaukee County courtroom and have the judge tell me at 5 o'clock we're adjourned till 9 tomorrow morning, and I tell the judge I'll be through in 2 minutes. Can we continue 9 o'clock tomorrow morning? And then I have to get coverage for my inpatients. Too much of that. I stopped doing inpatient work. It was forensic, and the forensic stuff grows. It's like half and half for many years, and finally, for the last couple of years, it's been pure forensic psychiatry, civil and criminal.
You're no different than lawyers who choose to go into a certain part of law, so I'm not criticizing that.
Well, that's the way things evolve, yes.
Of course. Now, in the last year, how many cases have you testified to in a courtroom on the issue of mental responsibility? Just generally.
In 1991, what was it, 92 this year?
Any calendar year, 19. What are you in court, 25 times a year, 35?
I might testify in small hearings, telephone hearings to major jury trials, perhaps 30 times a year.
Okay, now how many mental illness cases such as you're here on have you testified to in the last 5 years? Just give me a ballpark figure if you can.
How many times in 5 years have I testified on mental responsibility?
Yeah. It's just that. Boyle is a dick.
I can estimate, or I actually know.
Bit of a dick.
Several times a year I testify on mental non-responsibility.
You indicated there's 3.
I do. I perform 60 to 75 exams a year on this question. Not all of them lead to testimony. Commonly the issue gets settled, commonly the plea is withdrawn, commonly there's agreement amongst all examiners, and there's just token testimony and the person's processed. Sometimes there's a big contest involved.
Please get drawn a lot.
Get what?
Withdrawn quite often.
Well, you probably know more about it than I do, but I certainly commonly do not appear later in court on a non-responsibility case.
Now, there are 3, or really 4 ways of you being appointed as a forensic psychiatrist in a criminal case, one, where the judge appoints you, correct?
That's true.
Two, where you're hired by the district attorney and you render an opinion. Obviously, you're a very fine professional. Your opinion would have to be turned over to the other side.
Very fine professional, sir. Very fine professional. Shit, Anna just gifted out a membership. Bam! Cletus just got a membership. Holy shit. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Publicly Buzzed, the J-Buzzed Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, Cletus, Adam Malone, otherwise known as Adam Malone. Adam Malone is one of Cletus's characters. We gotta, give him one of those. We're gonna crack a couple satisfying pours right here for that motherfucker. Now you better not be out drinking and driving in that badass dump truck. First of all, give me the loot. Oh man, that's awesome as fuck. Thank you so much, Anna. Appreciate that. The beers in the chat. Get a little, maybe something else, a little something. I got a little mimosa. I got a pill bottle for you, bud. Throw a pill bottle in there for him. That's awesome. Well, welcome, Adam.
But you're hired nonetheless by the state to do an analysis and to render the best opinion you feel is appropriate under the circumstances. That's another way you're hired.
True.
Another way that you're hired is by the public defender's office.
True.
And sometimes being hired by the public defender's office, they ask the court to appoint you.
True.
And that's a budget thing, isn't it? So it comes out of the court's budget rather than the public defender's budget.
That's what I commonly recommend to defense attorneys in discussing payment, and certainly with the public defender's office. You're better off trying to run it through the court.
Has there been situations where the public defender makes such a motion before he knows what your opinion is, or does that not matter?
Yes, on occasion, defense attorneys call me. Will I see this person? Yes, we discuss things. My first choice would be to be court-appointed, have the county pay the bill. Even if I'm court-appointed, you still have full access to me. My findings are the same. You can meet with me just as much. No side owns an examiner type thing. I'd rather, if possible, sometimes private defense work, it's fortunate if the attorney gets paid, let alone the client can't pay me.
That's right.
So let's try to run it, if possible, run it through the court. But sometimes it doesn't, and then we run it through the public defender's office.
Then there's another way you get into these cases, and that's where private defense attorneys...
Shit, Viv. Art with Viv coming through here. Passing the plate over the pews for Pastor Steve. $10. Thank you, Viv. Appreciate that.
I'm sober enough to know what I'm doing,
Jim Lee.
and I'm drunk enough to really enjoy doing it.
Boom. And also, if you're not following Viv, you done fucked up. We put that in the chat right there. Make sure you're following Viv. Always, first of all, giving tips and showing the art that she's doing. And yeah, I need to also get your website in here because I just learned about that through Jay when he was showing your website and some of the art they've actually purchased, which I need to also do. But yeah, Art with Viv. First of all, make sure you're following her on YouTube. But yeah, Viv, if you can send me the website again, or if anybody wants to post that, one of the mods maybe, yeah, I can get that into where we can actually put an exclamation point in front of that son of a bitch. But thank you, Viv, so much, seriously.
And he would hire you, and he would pay, or he would see that you were paid from private funds, correct?
Yes, that happens.
Right. Then there's another thing that happens, and that is where the parties agree.
Oh shit, yeah, never mind. You know what? Yeah, she likes the bells. I'm gonna start playing the bells for Viv. Boom. There you go. There you go, baby. While that's playing, I'm gonna put this on the list. Boom. One more time. Just for Viv. Boom. On the list. Yes. Thank you so much again. I really appreciate it.
That these are very good doctors, this list, and they say, Judge, all of these doctors are agreeable to both sides, and then the judge appoints. So you really become an appointee of the court by reference or by suggestion of the parties, correct? That's another way.
I think that's the most common way.
Yeah. All right. Now, how many, I think you said 70, I thought you said 70-30 was the balance as to how you are involved in these cases, and I really missed how that came about. Did I quote you right? I heard you say something about 70-30.
Damn. The 199 from an aspiring court reporter. Puff, puff, pass. Good Lord, now. Damn. Okay. That's what I like the way you think. First of all, let me first of all get you one of these. Boom.
I got your money, don't you worry.
I need which you always hear it in the background, but I need to get maybe a little bit of a bubbling noise, if you know what I'm saying. Maybe a little bit of a puffing noise, huh?
Give me the loot. Give me the loot.
Boom. Appreciate the hell out of that, Sarah. Thank you so much. Boom. Pop it, pop, 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 pop it. Yeah, good morning, Jennifer. Thank you for coming through here. Appreciate it.
70% of the time you're something and 30%.
No.
Oh, tell me about that.
I'm saying 2/3 criminal, 1/3 civil. The vast majority of appointments are court appointments. As far as you're probably talking the times my findings support the plea or do not support the plea, and over the years it runs like 25% of the time, 20 or 25 or even up to 30% of the time. 3 out of 10, 2 out of 10 my findings support non-responsibility. The other times they do not support the plea.
In the last 5 years, how many times have you been hired by a private defense attorney and paid by that private defense attorney to come into court and in fact render your expert opinion?
In a criminal case?
Yes, sir.
Infrequently.
Infrequently.
Civil work is much more private. Criminal, private defense, almost everything in the state, much more common is public defender.
You say infrequently, how many times?
Oh, we're talking,
Once,
5
twice,
years?
3, 5, 10?
Oh, it's 5, 10 times. It's usually.
Well, shit, coming in behind Sarah's going to be Say No to Globalism with the $4.99, passing the plate and the bowl. Oh, my God. Nothing like a little Sunday morning waking back. You know what I'm saying? Huh? You guys know what's up out here. Oh, my God. Oh, I'm a bad man. You're going to get one of these out the back, too. Hold on.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
Oh, man, I shot Marvin in the face.
Why the fuck you do that?
That's not the usual routine.
Well, you've given us, and you were kind enough to give us the amount of times that you're appointed and which way you go. 2 or 3 out of 10, you don't support the plea, or you do support the plea. So that's been very, very fair of you to answer.
There's also another category. That's a stipulated category. I'm not counting those times.
Stipulated category is where there is an agreement by all of the parties as to the conclusion of the doctors.
True. Well, I use that term probably incorrectly, but I'm saying sometimes I take the liberty to say, even though strictly speaking, the person, in my opinion, does not meet the standard, all things considered, consideration could be given to managing this person under such a commitment.
You have entered into an agreement with the state of Wisconsin for your psychiatric services relative to the costs of your involvement in this case from the time that you were first retained the day after Mr. Dahmer was arrested up to the first time you saw him, October the 16th, and the 5 times that you saw him, and preparing yourself and reading the records. What is the total amount of monies that you have either been paid or expect to be paid for your work on this case?
Up to today, I have billed Milwaukee County, including my first visit on, the day after the apprehension, and I have billed for 84 hours up until my last bill. And since that time, of course, we have this whole week, other preparation, couple.
It's none of your damn business, Boyle.
Long days of preparation, 2 days of court appearances. So the 84 is, I've been contracted at $125 an hour, so times 84 is $10,500 I've billed out so far. And I certainly have, well, let's say even another 35 hours is $4,375, and I suspect it'll be more than the 35. So we're approaching at least another $5,000 in billable time, and this reflects the bulk of my time. I certainly do not stopwatch my time, but I try to, this accounts for bulk of it.
Okay, now, the disadvantage that you have as a state psychiatrist, as opposed to a defense psychiatrist, is that you can't talk to the defendant until first allowed to do so, correct? By that I mean, you can't just, like a defense doctor, get information about the defendant until the defendant gives it to you, correct? Unless privilege is waived.
Yeah, you're talking about the state's examiner getting in early?
Well, I guess let me rephrase it. A doctor, if I had employed you and before you walked in on October the 16th to talk to Mr. Dahmer, I might have been able to save you a lot of hours of time because I could have told you and given you what he has been telling us and given you some writing samples if there were. I could have given you tape recordings if there were. I could provide you with a lot more information before you walked in. As a defense as a state psychiatrist, you're at a disadvantage because you can't get that from the defendant, correct?
I don't know. I can't imagine much more information being available.
But when you walked in on October the 16th, you had no idea what Jeffrey Dahmer had said to anybody other than the police, true?
Yeah, I did not know what he said to defense examiners.
Or to anyone else other than what he said to the police?
True.
Okay. If we were to break now for lunch, and I were to be able to just look through my notes and talk to my associates, I'll bet you I'll save us 45 minutes of time, and I think that might be a good thing to do, Judge.
Sounds like you're requesting that we recess at this
Yes,
point,
sir.
Mr. Boyle. Okay. We'll break at this time.
I'm
What
telling
time
you,
wanna
Boyle
come back?
wants to be the judge so bad. He's just like always trying to call the shots.
1:15? Okay, let's make it 1:15. Court's in recess.
All right, please.
Go ahead, Mr. McCann.
If it please the court, shortly
Yeah, there's
before the
still
opening of
19
court
minutes left of this clip right here before we're done with Fosdell.
this afternoon, I approached your chambers with Mr. Boyle and requested an opportunity to briefly address an in limine issue so that I might appropriately instruct a witness we intend calling within the next several days. That witness is Dr. Park Elliott Dietz. In my last conversation with him, we discussed the potential of using portions of that videotape during his direct testimony. From a strategic viewpoint, I agreed that I would first request up to an hour. If the court seemed concerned about that, I would request half an hour in total for use interspersing his testimony using that videotape to highlight certain points. I find no case in Wisconsin that directly addresses that issue. We've done research and found some cases that address the converse side of it. In one case, which is cited, United States versus Byers, which is cited in our recent Lind case. The Lind case appears at 161 Wisconsin, 2nd at 324, and in Lind they cite Byers, although for a different purpose. In United States versus Byers was the District of Columbia, and a defendant in that case attempted to suppress psychiatric testimony put on by the state because the state had not videotaped that interview, and they pursued an argument to the effect that the state had failed to preserve evidence that would be exculpatory, and that therefore the psychiatrist should not be permitted to testify because they had not preserved. Now that's the somewhat...
Shit, nombre. Gonna come through here. Bought you a beer, Steve. Cheers. Boom. Boom. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Let me hit you with, I'm gonna hit you with a Holly Berry. I don't give a fuck. I like that. I'm gonna give a little dancing out here. Boom. Hit you one of those two. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
Converse of what we have here, although I wouldn't be surprised to see Mr. Boyle make a motion maybe that Dr. Fosdell's testimony wasn't preserved.
Actually,
At any
hold on.
rate, I can't find a case where the...
And it's a 1 month anniversary, so I got to hit you with one of these. Jesus.
Anniversary! It's anniversary!
1 month? Hell yeah.
state attempted to move it into direct evidence. I would ask the court to take note, however, in State versus Lind, where our court pointed out
Nombre. I learned that a long time ago, and then I fucked it up. Nombre.
that on page 365.
I was sitting here and thinking, I'm like, that's not right.
Bottom, we note as a general
She's
matter
dancing,
that the
though.
Constitution does not apply to prohibit the admission of testimony of a state psychiatric expert in circumstances where the defendant already has interposed an insanity defense and has presented expert testimony in support thereof. At that point, they do cite United States versus Byers, general concept. Also in Lind, they address the Estelle issue and point out that this is a different situation than existed in Estelle. I do call the court's attention to the case of State versus Kaput, 142 Wisconsin 2nd 370, where this phrase appears in the opinion. Rather, speaking of this type of proceeding, the responsibility proceeding, rather it is a special proceeding in the dispositional phase of a criminal proceeding, a proceeding that is not criminal in its attributes or purposes, and pointing out that the 5/6 verdict is sufficient. In another case, and I won't cite a lot of cases, in Thornton versus Corcoran, federal case 407 Fed 2nd 695, 1969, the court actually ordered that the psychiatric interview be tape recorded. In terms of, and I see the court's mood, and I'm suggesting half an hour that he be permitted to intersperse pertinent selections from that videotape, taking up to half an hour, and I would call the court's attention to 90703, strike that, 90705 of the Code of Evidence, which reads as follows. This is the general code on expert testimony. The expert may testify in terms of opinion or inference and give his reasons, therefore, without prior disclosure of the underlying facts or data, unless the judge requires otherwise. The expert may in any event be required to disclose the underlying facts or data on cross-examination. I just suggest that's the closest I can find. I think the assumption is that if on direct the expert chooses to set out the facts on which he sets his opinion, that certainly that would be permitted. I think that that's implicit in 90705. I'm aware of as this issue arose yesterday on the audio tape, and the court relied on 971.16 sub 4. That reads, the particular section, I think, upon which the court ruled, reads as follows. The physician or other expert shall be permitted to make an explanation reasonably serving to clarify his or her diagnosis and opinion, and may be cross-examined as to any matter bearing on his or her competency or credibility or the validity of his or her diagnosis or opinion. I believe that this is reasonably in advance, is a reasonable explanation of the opinion to show selected portions of the videotape. And with that, I would request, just so that I can adequately give notice to our witness whether it would be permitted or not for preparation purposes, I would ask the court for an in limine ruling. I will point out there was, as the court knows, there was a hearing on this for the initial videotaping. Court ruled on that. The only thing I see is germane, any discussion between the doctor and the defendant, and this is from the tape. It's a question and answer. The defendant says this at the early stages of that taping. It's hard enough trying to open up to one person, but to have that in front of the whole courtroom, I don't know how candid that can be. Is there any way you can make sure so that it is not shown in court and just use it for your lectures or whatever you're going to use it for? This is the defendant speaking to Dr. Dietz. Dr. Dietz's response, I hadn't been planning to use it with lectures because the court has ordered that all originals and copies to be turned over. Then the defendant, oh, okay, but they will be watching, they will be watching that in court, question mark. Then Dr. Dietz, I don't know the answer to that, but I think that if either side pushes to make use of it to prove or challenge a point, that they probably are able to do that. I think if I were testifying and whoever is cross-examining me wanted to challenge something I said with use of the tape, they'd be free to do that. then the defendant says, well, I'll do my best, I'll just try to forget that it's there. I guess I've never been videotaped before, so. And then that's the, as far as I can see, that's the essence of the discussion here. I would draw a slight distinction here between Pennsylvania versus Muniz in this case. Pennsylvania versus Muniz is 110, Supreme Court 2638. In that case, there was an attempt to present a videotape of a confession, and the court said no, it just for various reasons did not permit that. So I appreciate the court giving me the time to request this in limine ruling. It will be of great assistance to our witness so that he'll know whether to prepare anticipating this or not. And I would ask the court's ruling on that. Thank you very much.
Mr. Boyle, do you have a position?
Yeah, I'm obviously very much opposed to it.
Oh, he's got a position. You know, Boyle's got a position.
What happened in the history of the state of Wisconsin, there's never been a situation where in this type of a hearing such has taken place any more than calling the defendant adversely. If we want to charter some new waters, I guess we'll have to take the chance that we better be right on the chartering of those waters. I think it is somewhat, I know everybody's motives are usually pretty good, but I am not suggesting that this being done to achieve an object they couldn't otherwise achieve, but it's just not fair to 5 months after the fact do something on a video supposedly for the help of making what? Notes. You don't make diagnoses on what a person's condition was at the time of the commission of the offense by how they're sitting in a room answering questions. And it's just not fair. And I guess I could be foolish enough to open up some doors by asking some dumb questions. This puts me in a very, very tentative position that I'm going to have to be extremely careful that I don't open up doors. I'm the one that makes the choice with the device and consent of the defendant as to whether or not he's going to testify as to what he says happened. That this is an attempt to take that choice away from me by some rule of law that is not applicable in this state. In the civil end of it, there are videotape depositions that are set forth in a procedure, and adverse examinations are clearly have to be respected. I was out of town when this whole videotaping business came up. I accepted Dr. Dietz's professionalism that the reason that he was doing it so he didn't have to sit down and write out notes as he was going along like the rest of the psychiatrists have been historically for the last 50 years. So I just am very much opposed to it. And if it's going to require any further argument, but I can absolutely assure you that if one picture of Mr. Dahmer gets in answering one question, we run the risk of the entire thing having to be shown, number one. And number two, the first day was not videotaped. So I just think that the court should handle this in exactly...
Well, I think it wasn't. The videotape was of some books, I believe.
Well, whatever. But we know it wasn't of the...
But I say that for a reason, because there was I believe a recording was made of the sound. That is the questions and the responses
I think
to the
Mr.
questions.
McCann's request is to his great credit that we're getting it up now, but I'm opposed to it, and if I'm going to have to start researching it, then I'd like some time. I don't know where it's ever been done before. It's just not the way, I don't think, the spirit of these kind of...
The fuck, Charlotte? You don't have grape jam? All right, what are they doing to you? What are they doing? What is the king doing to his people, Charlotte? An intervention needs to take place. I'm convinced. I prefer strawberry, but I would like that for you to have the option of grape. Oh my God.
Cases ever contemplated allowing a doctor to videotape people who are using this defense and then to go into a courtroom and be able to open up the door to showing the defendant when the purpose of the examination is to give the doctors a chance to render a decision so that one side doesn't gain an advantage over the other side.
Mr. McCann.
Yeah, just very briefly, the nature of this is not, of course, a criminal case. The nature is in the proceeding where we try to communicate to the jury everything we can about the defendant. Hence the very broad induction and use of evidence from the whole spectrum of the facts of the case. And Mr. Boyle has strategically, the defendant has sat here not between key counsel, but between two assisting counsel.
What the hell, Lisa? Oh my God. So Europe and Australia, what the fuck?
He doesn't write anything. He sits.
Like, I need to do more. I think this is what I'm going to dive into. Why is there not grape jam in other countries? What is going on? I'm going to check into Germany, Russia. I'm going to check with France just to see if all of Europe is fucked, first of all. Then we're going to have to go into Africa and South America. Oh my God. Why do we just have grape? Anybody else from any other areas that don't have grape jelly? That seems insane.
There, he doesn't read anything. This is obviously.
But you have strawberry? Everybody else has strawberry?
Boyle is an excellent lawyer to influence the jury. He's communicating the defendant by sitting here. We all know he is not adult. He has above or average or above intellect. That's been consistent testimony. And yet, and I'm not saying it's a gross affectation of being adult, but by sitting there, it's clear that there's some
What the fuck are they
communication.
doing to you? Free my people!
This man is not adult. He is articulate. He is intelligent. And this would communicate that to the jury, precisely the individual that they're dealing with. And it's in the attempt to the universality of pursuing the truth. I haven't researched this issue myself, but the court knows, I think I can tell the court, that he told Dr. Dietz, as he communicated to Dr. Fosdal, that his preference was live persons, totally compliant live persons.
There we go.
If I understand the testimony of Dr. Becker, not of Dr. Berlin per se, but Dr. Becker claimed that on Sunday night, a week ago yesterday, that he told her in a 1 hour and 10-minute interview that it was attended by Berlin, although Berlin did not testify to this, that his preference was that the person, his utmost preference was that to masturbate or to insert himself into an incised front anterior portion of an individual, opened and, as I understood it, to in effect have sexual congress with the viscera, if I understood her statement. That is, we have documented, taped evidence that that was not his statement to Dr. Dietz. That although he talked about it, he did not talk about inserting it, as I recollect, was flatly put that question with respect to Hicks. So from an impeachment factor, now I'm introducing a different issue than I did in my opening motion, and I understand that. I would ask the court, I understand you're saying on the positive end of it, but I'm going to ask that if you'll take under reservation at least that issue where there's flat impeachment. I don't think we need that answer right now because I sense you're going to rule against it, and I understand it's new law, and one does not wish to jeopardize a 3-week trial by cutting new law, and I can understand the courts. And I've reflected at length before I did that. We've debated interiorly within our office whether we could call the defendant, make attempt to make law in that regard, and decided not to do it, although I rather firmly believe the court would not permit it anyways. But I think this is important in this case because I think it would throw more evidence on it. So with that, I will, having presented the argument, I appreciate your taking the time so that we can communicate to Dr. Dietz what will or will not be permitted.
Mr. Boyle, I really don't think I require further arguments. Frankly, I'm persuaded to rule in your favor right now. If you want to try to talk me out of it, I suppose...
I don't need about any argument. I want to put on the record that regardless of what Mr. McCann's opinion is, Mr. Dahmer has not been given any instructions. He is not writing because he's been instructed not to. As a matter of fact, the opposite is true. He is sitting between my two co-counsel because I have to be towards the end, so I don't have to be disturbing everybody every time I get up. And frankly, I just think that whatever this word dolt means, I think that when counsel starts guessing as to what my motives are, he'd do me a great service if he'd asked me first, because I think I could let him know that he's wrong. And I'm not too sensitive, but he's just wrong. It's not being done to persuade the jury about anything. I've been doing this for too many years.
As I've already indicated, it is my intention to rule against the state's request. However, it's not because this is simply modern technology. If any judge in Wisconsin and perhaps the world has had experience with modern technology in the courtroom, it's this one. I point out to you that on one occasion we took testimony from London, England, which was presented in a courtroom here in Milwaukee. When this issue originally was raised in terms of whether or not it was permissible to utilize a videotape, the court's rationale was that the expert had the right to make notes of his examination. Those notes could be with paper and pencil. He could also use more advanced technology in taking those notes. He could record, audio record.
Boyle can't help
Also
himself.
felt that today, video is a very common means of making recordings, and that video was appropriate if he chose to use it as a means of making notes. What's being asked for now is something a little further than that. And I think the court, at this point, has to draw a line. I know of no authority in Wisconsin that says that it's appropriate to use these video notes as a part of the expert's direct examination. Now, one of the things I look at is, because according to the law, we follow the civil rules here, and in terms of the civil use of video depositions, it is permissible for a deposition of a party opponent to be used as evidence. But that's a deposition taken under some very special circumstances. Most importantly, that the litigant is represented by counsel. That didn't exist here. For all of those reasons, it seems to me that it's inappropriate to use it in terms of the direct examination. Now, things may happen in terms of the cross-examination, which might make it appropriate for all or parts of those video recordings to be brought into the case. That depends, of course, a little bit on how Mr. Boyle proceeds, but it would be the court's ruling that there's an absence of authority for using it as part of the direct examination. But I want to make it very clear, I'm limiting it to that. That if something happens during the course of the examination of this witness that makes it appropriate, the court's not restraining itself from altering that ruling. So I hope that provides the guidance that you're looking for at this point, Mr. McCann.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay.
Shit, gifted membership has been given out by Tangled Crochet. Tia M. Boom. Just got that son of a bitch. Welcome, Tia M. To the party, pal. Boom.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Let's give them some bears here. Some early morning satisfying pours, if you will. Thank you very much. Tangled Crochet. Appreciate that. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, that link that I just posted in the chat there, and I'll show it as well when we're actually getting ready to go right now. Hold on. We're about to go into the next video right now. So, yeah, the link that I just posted there, that is a link that is affiliated to a Publicly Buzzed account that if you do any kind of shopping whatsoever on Amazon and you go through this link, you will help Publicly Buzzed out is what you'll do. You don't have to purchase this lamp. Just clicking on, and really these are, and I don't think it's in the description of this one. I actually need to, because I've just been copying and pasting all the old classic murder churches, and it's before I started doing this. But yeah, if you go through the link that I just posted there, and it's in all the descriptions of other videos if you look, any of the stuff. I use it for my equipment that I'm using here. Yeah, if you go through any of those links and literally make any purchase on Amazon, Publicly Buzzed gets a slight kickback on that. If you purchase that item as well, I think it helps. But literally any item. If you go food shopping, if you purchase clothes, if you purchase anything through that link, it helps Publicly Buzzed out from not doing anything else than you would normally already do by shopping on Amazon. So yeah, I appreciate the hell out of that. If anybody does do it, we're about to go into yet another freaking video. Let's see. I know that, God, now I gotta remember where we was at last time because I had to go back in time. I know we watched 7. I know we watched this one. I'm pretty sure we watched this one. I think we're here. I think we're at Officer John Balserzak. Probably just butchered the hell out of that. We'll find out momentarily. But before we do that, I also wanted to show the trailer for the Feral Friday, for this Feral Friday. This Feral Friday, we have a guy coming on by the name of George Maschke. Okay, this guy has a crazy story. He has incredible credentials and was going to be a member of the FBI. He went and took a polygraph test, and we already have a little bit of familiarity in here from the other side of the lens, from the polygraph, people that are pro polygraph, somebody that is on the board nationally for polygraphs, lie detectors. But yeah, we're going to be talking to somebody that is not in favor of lie detectors, somebody that life completely changed in one day because of an altercation in Los Angeles, California, with somebody that was giving him a lie detector. So yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a good one, I think. I think everyone will enjoy it. Let me look through here real quick, make sure I'm not missing anything before I show you that, and then we do our usual Murder Church stinger. CR, boom, gift out a membership. Not that Nikki getting it. Hell yeah, nice. Love to see it.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Get some satisfying pours right here for Nikki. Welcome to the party. Thank you very much. Yeah. Beer's coming out right here. Lakota coming through. Love it. Thank you all so much. Please like this if you're coming through a little bit late, guys. Helps us out here. It's been an awesome morning so far on Murder Church, per the usual. Make sure. Let me see. All right, guys. Yeah, check out this trailer, though, for Feral Friday. It's going to be a good one.
The National Security Agency, or NSA, which monitors foreign and domestic electronic communications, has produced a video with the Orwellian title, The Truth About the Polygraph. It's Orwellian because the truth is the last thing that the NSA wants you to know about polygraphy.
What is this? It's a mask. Put it on. This looks like a sock. It's a spy mask. It's a special spy mask. Put it on. Looks like a sock.
Boom. We back, baby. Let's keep rolling.
Harry, Circuit Court, Branch 33, Uniform 1, County is now in session. Honorable Lawrence C. Graham, Jr. presiding.
It's going to be a good one, guys.
John Balserzak.
Raise your hand, sir. Do you solemnly swear that all the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Please be seated, sir. And then would you state your name and spell your last name, please?
Officer John Balserzak, B-A-L-C-E-R-Z-A-K.
How were you employed in the morning hours of May 27, 1991?
As a police officer of the City of Milwaukee.
How long had you been a police officer?
Approximately 6.5 years.
Were you assigned to a particular district station?
I was assigned to 3rd District, City of Milwaukee.
And what shift on that date?
The late shift.
And what is the late shift hours?
It will be midnight to 8 a.m.
Had you gone to work that night at midnight? That is the beginning of the morning of May 27, 1991?
Yes.
And what was your squad patrol area?
It's assigned to Squad 36.
And what's that area, roughly?
Area is North 16th Street to North 35th Street, West Lisbon, Avenue to North Avenue.
It's not infrequent that you're sent to areas to respond to complaints outside your particular squad area, is that correct?
It's a regular occurrence.
And sometime during that morning, you were dispatched to a call outside your area, is that true?
Dispatched probably to a number of calls outside of our squad area.
And did there come a time that you received a dispatch to the area of North 25th and West State Street in the city of Milwaukee?
Yes.
Is that strictly within your squad area, or is that an adjoining area?
It's in the 3rd District, but it's in a different squad area.
And you received that from the dispatcher by squad number, squad 36, go to such and such an area.
That's correct.
Do you recall what the contents, the basic contents of the dispatch was?
As I recall, the dispatch was to check for a naked man, badly beaten, 25th and State Street, anonymous caller.
Did you go to that area then?
Yes, we did.
And when you say we, who were you with?
I was working with my squad partner, Officer Joseph Gabrish.
Were you both in uniform at the time?
Yes.
And you're in a regular Milwaukee Police Department uniform squad car, is that so?
That's correct.
As you approached the vicinity of North 25th Street and West State Street, what did you see?
As we approached the intersection, observed a group of people standing at the mouth of an alley which runs parallel with State Street and directly south of State Street on North 25th Street.
All right, you're speaking now of the mouth of an alley. That mouth is on 25th Street?
That's correct.
And this alley parallels West State Street, is that correct?
That's correct.
West State Street is an east-west street in the city of Milwaukee, is that true?
That's correct.
And so that this alley also then was an east-west alley south of State Street running parallel to State Street.
That's correct.
And you saw a group of people at what would be the western end of that alley, that is at North 25th Street.
Yes.
All right, what did you do when you saw that group of people standing at the mouth of that alley?
We proceeded to that area, the mouth of the alley.
And what did you do with your squad car?
Upon arriving at the mouth of the alley, we observed 2 individuals in the alley itself, at which point we turned into that alley.
All right, these 2 individuals then were east of 25th Street, down the alley a bit towards 24th, is that so?
They were into the alley, partially into the alley between the North 25th Street and the north-south alley of that block.
All right, so that particular alley, that east-west alley, is cut by another alley that runs north and south.
That's correct.
And the alley that runs north and south parallels North 25th Street and North 24th Street.
That's
Would that
correct.
be true? So when you first saw the 2 individuals, they were standing in the east-west alley just a little bit east of North 25th Street.
That's correct, approximately halfway between North 25th and the north-south alley.
All right. Did you pull your squad into the east-west alley?
Yes.
And were your lights on in the squad car?
In reference to?
Were the lights on, your headlights on in the squad car?
Yes, the headlights were operating.
Right. What hour was it, to your best recollection, that you pulled into that alley with your headlights on?
It would have been approximately 2:06 in the morning.
AM?
That's correct.
And what did you do after pulling into that alley? Your headlights illuminated these 2 men down the alley, is that correct?
To an extent, yes.
All right. What did you see, even as you pulled in with your headlights on? Can you tell the jury what you saw about these 2 men?
Observed the 2 individuals. One individual was naked, and the second individual appeared to be assisting him to his feet and beginning to walk as we were pulling into the alley.
It appeared to you that he was helping up the naked man off the ground?
It appeared that he was helping him to his feet, and had just concluded helping him to his feet and began to walk.
What did you do then?
At that point, We stopped our squad, or I should say I stopped the squad. Both myself and my partner exited the squad. Both individuals had stopped walking and turned back to see what had pulled into the alley.
Was your red light on? Any red lights on in the car?
I don't recall if they were operating or not. I don't believe they were, but I'm not
But
fully.
it's a City of Milwaukee marked police squad, is that true?
That's correct.
And there's a bank of red and blue lights on the top of it?
That's correct.
So anyone looking back, if they could see through the headlights, would recognize that that's a squad car pulling in.
Yes, they should.
And you and your partner, Joe Gabrish, got out of the squad car. What did you do then?
At that point, we proceeded toward the two individuals. It was apparent to us that this was what our assignment, what the assignment that we had gotten sent to.
You were satisfied that this naked man you saw in your headlights was the same naked man that had triggered the dispatch. You were satisfied you had arrived at whatever it was that caused the dispatch.
That's correct.
All right. What did you do then when you walked up the alley approaching these two men?
As we approached both individuals, we separated both individuals, as is a standard procedure, to determine what is happening, what is occurring in the alley.
You separate them both and then separately question them. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Did you undertake to question one of the two men?
Yes.
And which of the two men did you, the clothed or the unclothed man, did you undertake to question?
During our investigation, I questioned the clothed male.
And who was that man? What did you first ask? What did you ask him?
I believe I started out by asking him what's occurring.
What did he say?
At that point, he related that he was helping his roommate.
And what further was said or asked or said by you or him?
During the course of our investigation in the street, we obtained some information regarding identities of the two. And
did you ask him what his name was?
Yes.
The man to whom you were talking. What name did he give you?
He gave me Jeffrey Dahmer.
And did you ask his date of birth?
Yes.
Is that standard questioning procedure when you're investigating an incident?
Yes.
Get the name and address?
Yes, it is.
And did he produce any type of identification at your request, or did he voluntarily produce identification?
During the course of my investigation, he produced a picture work identification card.
Do you remember when that was? Was that in the alley, or was it at some later point?
No, that was while we were still investigating in the alley.
And do you recall what that identification card was? Did it indicate his employment at a local West Side chocolate factory?
Yes, it was an employee picture ID card.
And from looking at that card, the name, was there a date of birth, if you recollect, on that card?
There may have been a date of birth on the card.
After looking at that card, examining the picture, looking at his face, getting his name and date of birth, were you satisfied that the man was using the right name and speaking, his name and speaking with you?
Yes.
And that name was what?
Jeffrey Dahmer.
All right. Do you see that man in court right now?
Yes, I do.
And would you stipulate? Let the record reflect that there's stipulation that's the defendant. What, if anything, did he say about the incident when you queried him, well, what's happening here?
He related to myself that he was assisting his roommate for the past few weeks back to their apartment. Stated that his roommate had been drinking and had passed out on the couch of the apartment, and that that's where he had left him when he had gone to a local tavern to obtain some beer or cigarettes.
So Dahmer told you that this was his roommate, this naked man, that he had left his roommate earlier. The roommate had passed out in their apartment, and he, Dahmer, had left the apartment with the man passed out and had gone to a tavern.
That's correct.
What else did he tell you then?
He stated that upon returning from the tavern, he observed his roommate on the street naked and was trying to assist him back to the apartment.
And what, if anything, did you then do or say or observe at that point? after he had told you this?
In regards to,
Any observations you made of him, anything you said or did at that point? He had now basically relayed to you what had brought him there and the circumstances of the incident. Is that correct?
that's correct.
What, if anything, did you do at that point or say or observe?
I was making observations of my entire time since my arrival at the assignment, and
What observations had you made of Mr. Dahmer?
he appeared to be a calm, neatly dressed, clean-shaven, neatly combed hair, clean clothing, no injuries of any sort, clothing, no disarray of his clothing at all.
You were checking that to see if, in fact, there had been an altercation of some type? Is that what you were basically making those close observations for?
Yes, that would be, the assignment we had gotten sent to was a man beaten, and that you run through numerous items that through your mind, that you make observations and check during the course of your investigation.
All right, because the dispatch had said man beaten, you wanted to know if he had been in a fight with this man, the naked man. Is that basically what you were interested in?
Correct, to see if, in fact, an altercation did occur.
How did he answer to you? Was he hesitant or responsive? In what fashion did he respond to your questions?
He responded, no hesitation in any type of response to any of my questions. I responded in a calm, clear voice. I myself am a stutterer of sorts, and I make observations of that if there is discrepancies and so forth of individuals. There was nothing to suggest that he was not as he was presenting himself to be.
What information, if any, did he give you about the naked man, other than saying he was a roommate?
Stated that the naked male was his roommate the past 3 weeks, and he provided a name and an age.
What name did he provide?
I believe the name he provided was John Hmong.
H-M-O-N-G, it sounds like?
I believe.
All right. And what if any date of age did he give you for that young man's birth?
He provided the age of 19 to 20.
Had you made any observations as to the descent of the young man, the naked man in the alley?
Yes.
And what observations had you made?
He appeared to be an Asian male of approximately that age.
Did the name John Hmong, H-M-O-N-G, appear to you or occur to you to be a name that might be of Oriental nature?
Yes, didn't strike me as being unusual of any sort at all.
What happened then, or what was said then, or what did you do then?
We continued to investigate in the alley. I ran through the explanation a number of times with Mr. Dahmer.
Why do you do that? Why do policemen make you repeat sometimes or jump around with questions and come back? Why do you do that?
See if there's a discrepancy, any variance in what was told to us that would, during the course of our investigation, that would help us possibly to alert us to somebody not telling us the truth.
And if a person changes their responses, that may alert you that something's going on here and you're going to press further on it. Would that be accurate?
Yes, if he changes responses or any change in his mannerisms or so forth.
For how long did you talk with him at that time before you had any communication with your partner, Mr. Gabrish?
Maybe approximately 5-10 minutes. I wasn't watching my wristwatch to see.
Did there come a time then that you conferred with Gabrish to see what he was learning from the Oriental man?
Yes.
What, if anything, was communicated between you and Gabrish?
We exchanged information, as is normal, see if there's any discrepancies between the two individuals, which we separated.
In this case, you want to know if Gabrish is going to say that the Oriental has told him that this man was striking him or beating him or doing something like that. Is that basically why you're asking Gabrish, what does he say about it?
Well, explanation as to the circumstances of our assignment and as far as if there's any variance in anything else, identification of individuals or anything like that.
All right, and what did Gabrish tell you?
At the time, he advised me that the Asian male was not, was refusing to make any statements at all to him.
Had you made it, up to this point, did you make any particular observations yourself of the Asian male?
Yes.
And would you tell the jury what observations you made of the Asian male?
Again, he appeared to be an Asian male of the age group given by Mr. Dahmer. He appeared to be intoxicated. He had no clothing on. He had a minor abrasion to his knee. Other than that, he was appeared to be alert, conscious of our presence and the presence of my partner.
Did you hear him speaking at all, his voice at all? That is the Oriental male.
No, I did not.
What happened then, was said or was done between and or by you and Mr. Gabrish?
At that time, after conferring with my partner, I, as is normal for any officers, would then attempt to...
I'm sorry, would you repeat that, Mr.?
I'm sorry. After speaking with my partner, as would be normal for any police officer, I then made an attempt to speak with the Asian male in hopes that maybe he would feel comfortable speaking to me or see if I could obtain anything from him.
It's your experience that sometimes an individual won't speak to one officer but will to another, a different technique or approach or something like that?
Yes.
And so you then went over and saw if you could get information from the Asian male yourself?
That's correct.
Were you able to get any information from him?
No, other than his being alert to my presence. He refused to make any attempt to communicate to me.
And you made a conclusion as to whether or not, or did you make any observations that caused you to reach a conclusion as to whether or not he was intoxicated in some fashion?
Yes.
And what was that conclusion?
To me, he appeared to be intoxicated. The smell of strong smell of alcohol on his breath, his unsteadiness on his feet as upon our arrival when he was standing, his glassy-eyed look.
In that opportunity, when you were observing him, was he in front of the headlights of the car at that point?
Upon...
As you were speaking to him, as you're now questioning the Oriental male?
He would have been seated on the bumper of the squad car at that time.
Did you see anything about his person beyond the scrape on the knee that you earlier testified to? Did you see any other injuries on his person?
No, I was able to view him upon our arrival from his back and his front, and I did not see any other injuries other than an abrasion to his knee.
What then happened or was said or was done after you attempted, were you successful at all in getting any information from the Asian male?
No, I did not get anything from him.
Did he simply remain silent, or did he speak in some tongue you didn't understand, or what, if any, communication was there?
There was nothing from him verbally, physically, facial expressions, nothing other than just his being aware that I was there and talking to him, asking him questions. He just didn't respond.
What did you then do or say after you had made these observations and this attempt to communicate with the Asian male?
At that time, I think, as I recall, I spoke with Mr. Dahmer again, and may have spoke with my partner another time.
Now, at some point, had fire personnel arrived on the scene, or you became aware of fire personnel?
I don't recall. Are you speaking of my knowledge at that time, or what I know now?
Well, going back to then, to that particular early morning hour at about 2 a.m. in this alley, did there come a time when you became aware that fire people had arrived at the scene?
Myself personally, I was not aware that they had been there, no.
Were you aware that at some point a blanket of some type had been put around the Oriental male?
Yes.
When you spoke with him, after you had initially talked to Dahmer, came back, spoke to Gabrish, then undertook to question the Asian male yourself, when you were questioning, was there now a blanket on him?
Yes.
After you had completed this effort trying to talk with the Asian male, you went back and talked to Gabrish and then back to Dahmer again. Is that what transpired?
I believe so, yes.
All right. What was the conversation at that point with Mr. Dahmer?
May have been, I believe, checking the, again, just trying to substantiate everything as...
More questions.
Right.
Right. And what happened then? Had he told you where he lived, Dahmer, and when you had asked the name and did you ask the address and so on?
Yes, yes.
Where was the address with respect to where you were, right in that alley?
That would have been at the south end of the city block that we were on.
The end of the alley, the north-south alley?
Basically, yes.
So would that put you within a few apartment buildings of his address?
That's correct.
You were in the 900 block of North 25th Street, this alley, is that correct?
That's correct.
And he advised you he lived in the 900 block of North 25th Street?
Yes.
So you knew you were within a couple of doors of his residence, is that so?
Yes.
All right. You questioned him again, and then what was said or done?
At that time, I made an appeal to the people that were there, asking...
Shit, Lakota coming through this morning with a $9.99. It is better to give than receive. Please, can't even talk right now. Please pass this plate in good faith. Say that 3 times quick. Please pass this plate. Please pass this plate. Please pass this plate. It's hard. Thank you, Lakota. I really appreciate that. You're amazing. Boom. I'm a bad man. Thank you so much. First of all, for being here through Murder Church. Amazing morning per usual. If you're just hanging out, lurking in the background, thank you for hanging out per usual as well. Hit that like this thing up, share it out, let people know that you're hanging out all morning long with Murder Church. Again, after the show, immediately after, you're going to be portaled into an amazing stream, an amazing interview with Jay and Shannon from the Shaming of Jay channel, as I think it's on that channel. Yeah, I think it's on the regular channel. I know Jay's going to be doing 2 channels now, trying to get the other one pumped up so we can get the monetization back from these fuck faces at YouTube. But yeah, going to be having Cheryl Mack McCullen and Joe Jackalone on today, immediately after this, 1 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be good. It's going to be real good. So again, you don't have to do anything theoretically after this. You should be portaled directly into that stream, but possibly, maybe that might not happen. You might have to find it, but again, because it's YouTube, right? But yeah, thank you all so much. It's been a great morning.
If anybody knew the Asian male...
All right, you have indicated that as you came up to the scene, you saw a group of people there at the mouth of the alley. Now you start to talk to those people. You're going to try to get some information about the Asian male?
Right, for a matter of my record.
All right, what inquiry did you make of the people that were there?
I asked in a loud voice if anybody knew this person, and regarding in reference to the Asian male, at which point I received no response from the individuals.
What did you then do or say?
At that time, I believe I talked to my partner, and we decided to go back to the apartment to further our investigation and to have the Asian male off the street since he was naked.
So you and Gabriel decided, okay, we'll go over to the apartment where Dahmer had told you he and this Oriental male were roommates. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. What happened then? After you and Gabriel made that decision, had other officers arrived on the scene in the interval that you've been describing?
Another squad had arrived on the scene during the course of our investigation on the street, yes.
Did you observe who those officers were that had arrived on the scene?
One officer I observed.
And what is his name?
That would be Officer Richard Brupkin.
All right, and presumably he arrived with a partner, but you did not see that partner?
I don't recall seeing him.
All right, after you and Gabriel decided that the group would go back to the apartment building, what happened?
At that time, Mr. Dahmer went to assist the Asian male to his feet to escort him.
Did you announce to them we're going back to the apartment? If you did not, did you advise that to advise Dahmer of that?
It wasn't as much as announcing as much as it was saying that, well, let's get him off, have him off the street. We got him back to the apartment.
All right, so somebody went back to the Asian male who was sitting on, was he still in the bumper of the squad car?
He was just sitting upright by himself in the bumper the whole time.
All right, and he was advised, you're going back to the apartment building. Was he assisted in any way at that point?
He was initially assisted by Mr. Dahmer, I believe, not to the point of being carried of any sort or anything like that. He was assisted in just guidance, just being steadied as he walked.
All right, did any other officers assist, if you recollect?
It would have been my partner and then Officer Prupkin.
Right. What did you do at this point? They're starting, did Dahmer say how he would get into his apartment? Did he indicate some fashion in which he would enter his apartment building?
No, I don't recall him indicating that.
All right, in which direction did the group head? There's now Dahmer, the Oriental male, Prupkin, yourself, and your partner, Mr. Gabrish. Is that correct?
Yes, they were on foot, and I had followed him in the squad car.
You went and got in the squad car.
That's correct.
All right, and which way did the group head?
They walked east into the east-west alley where we had been until they reached the north-south alley, and at that point they turned south into that alley.
All right, so that east-west alley that parallels State Street, we've already indicated that's split in mid-block by a north-south alley. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So the group walks east to the north-south alley and then turns south and walks south down the north-south alley. Is that correct?
That's correct.
How far did they walk south? You're following in the squad car?
Yes.
All right, how far did they walk south down that alley?
They walked to the rear of the last building on the south end of the alley.
And is that the building you know as the Oxford Apartments?
Yes, I believe that's what it is.
All right, is there a back door into that apartment building?
Yes.
All right, did the group head, are there some steps that lead to that back door?
Yes.
All right, when the group reached that area, did they proceed up those steps towards the back door?
Yes, they did.
And at that point, you determined you'd get out of the squad car and follow?
Yes, at that point I parked the squad, locked it up, and followed on foot.
Did Mr. Dahmer have a key into that back door into the apartment building?
I wasn't in a position to see.
At any rate, when you started up the steps, the door was open and you followed in. Is that correct?
Correct. I followed the other group in.
Right. As you did, was there some walk down a hallway or partway down a hallway to get to Mr. Dahmer's apartment?
Yes, it was a little bit into the building itself.
Right. Were you in that hallway by the time he undertook to unlock the door into his apartment?
I would have been in the hallway, yes.
Right. And did he unlock the door?
Again, I was not in a position to observe how he was entering his apartment.
At any rate, because the Prupkin, Gabrish, the Oriental male, and Dahmer were between you and the Dahmer's door, is that correct?
I believe that's how it
So
was.
they obstructed your view of what happened. But at any rate, he opened the apartment door, Mr. Dahmer did, and the group went in. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Was there any hesitancy by him about going into the apartment?
No, there was no hesitance by him either on the street before when we stated about going back to the apartment, and there was no hesitation at any time about allowing us into the apartment of any sort.
He didn't ask for a warrant or anything like that?
No.
All right, he opened the door and all of you went in. Were you probably the last to go in?
I would believe so, yes.
When you got in, can you tell the jury basically when you open up, is it a living room opening up into the first room you enter from the hallway?
It's a apartment itself. It has a short hallway, and there'd be a living room and an open area to the kitchen.
All right, did you notice any doorway to the right leading into a bedroom or bathroom?
It may have been a short, again,
Y'all
a
heard that,
short
right?
hallway where there was a
100%
door
let someone
or two,
discard.
which I assumed was the bathroom or bedroom.
Did you go
I did
into
see
that
that
area
the
at
last
all?
time that I was calling out someone for farting, that when I went back and looked at it, you could see that he was blowing his nose, so it's probably that.
No.
Do you have any recollection whether that was closed when you walked into that area that would provide access to the bedroom and bathroom? Do you recall if the access to that hallway, there was a closed door there or not, if you recollect?
To the hallway or to the rooms itself?
No, to the hallway that would lead into the bathroom and the bedroom.
I believe that there was no door to the hallway itself, my recollection, but just to the individual rooms.
I think that's what it was.
Did you look into a bedroom or a bathroom at all?
No, those doors, as I recall, were closed and had no reason to venture into there.
Right, when you came into the living room, what observations did you make?
The apartment, of the apartment itself, or?
Yes.
The apartment was a neat,
How did it fucking smell, bro?
a well-kept apartment.
Did you make any particular observations with respect to was there a couch in the living room?
Yes, there was.
Did you make any particular observations of that couch?
The couch, in regards to where it was positioned or what was on it?
Where it was positioned, what was on it, whatever you observed of it.
The couch, I believe, was against the east wall of the apartment. Had a blanket or a sheet, as I recall, on the couch, and some clothing, as if someone had been sleeping on the couch and with the blanket.
All right, what impact did that have on you, that observation?
That, to me, further substantiated what I had been told on the street during my investigation on the street, and as we further investigated, that substantiated that from Mr. Dahmer that his roommate had been sleeping on the couch, passed out.
And the clothes were there on the couch also?
Yes.
What, if any, observation did you make in you described it as a neat apartment. Did you see any evidence of a struggle in that apartment?
No, there was no signs of any disturbance or struggle of any sort. Everything was in its place, and it was a clean, well-kept apartment.
What, if anything, was said or done at that time? There are now the three officers, you, Gabrish, Perubkin, the defendant, Mr. Dahmer, and the Oriental male. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And what did the Oriental male do when you came into the apartment? What was he doing, or had he done by the time you came into the apartment?
As I was walking into the apartment, he proceeded to the couch, and he sat in an upright position on the edge of the couch.
Since that time, since the May 27, 1991 morning, you have come to know that Asian male by a name other than John Hamong. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And by what name have you come to know him?
As Conorak Sinphone.
You've seen pictures of him and so on, and that was the male, the Oriental male that you were observing at that early morning hours. You've come to know as Conorak Sinphone. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Right. As you're making these observations, you see the sheet on the bed or on the couch, the sheet or blanket, the clothes. What other observations did you make at that time, or what was said or done at that time in the apartment?
At that time, I was talking to Mr. Dahmer, and my partner was next to me in an area not too distant from me. Officer Prupkin was off to the side towards a table toward the kitchen area.
And do you recall what you said to Dahmer at this particular time, what the discussion was about? Were you looking for anything at that point?
At that point, we had proceeded back to further investigate and to further just to substantiate everything. And
do you recall observing, or do you recall or not, whether any of the other officers started through the clothing that you saw that was seen on the couch?
I don't recall myself that incident or that part of our investigation.
You, in other words, you don't know particularly what Gabrish or Perubkin was doing at that point. You were more or less talking to Dahmer. They were nearby because it's a small apartment, but you weren't particularly observing what they were doing, I take it, at that point.
I wasn't watching them directly, no.
What then happened or was said or done?
By
anybody?
Officer Perupkin picked up one or two Polaroid pictures off of a table, and he held them up to our view, so that we could view them, and brought them to our attention.
Were you close enough, proximate enough, that you could make a review yourself of those Polaroid pictures?
Yes.
And what appeared in those Polaroid pictures?
It was a picture of Simone posing in either black underwear or bikini briefs in that apartment itself.
Wow. Yeah, Megsy. A lot of these like really dark serial killer and killer stories, mass murder even, like the coincidences make it like fiction almost. I'm not saying that that's what we're talking about here, but on Friday and Feral Friday we were talking about coincidences and how a lot of people have that, I don't believe in coincidences type of thing. But how many weird things happen in these situations? Like in this one, the police walk this young man back to his murder, essentially. That's what happened. Like, it's the most fucked up thing ever. He has already been drugged. Ugh.
I asked you to examine what has been marked as State's Exhibit number 68.
And then, yeah, Missy's saying he went on to become a police captain? The fuck?
Can you tell the jury, are those photographs?
Yes.
And are they photographs of a man you've come to know, a male you've come to know as Connor Exentis-Infone?
Yes.
And would you describe to the jury what is presented in those photos?
It's a picture of, it appeared to be the same Polaroid, which I viewed upon that early morning hours.
And what does the picture show?
It shows Mr. Simfon posing in black bikini briefs or underwear in a relaxed pose in the apartment itself.
Is he in one of the poses? Is he on the couch?
Yes, one of the poses he's stretched out on the couch.
Are his eyes open?
Yes, they are.
Does he appear to be conscious in that pose?
Yes.
Does it appear to be a deliberate posing?
Yes, it appears to be a relaxed pose for whoever was taking the pictures.
And what does the second picture contain?
Again, contains the same setting, that of the apartment, along with Mr. Simfon with his bikini briefs posing.
Is he standing or reclining in the second photo?
He is standing.
And are his eyes open?
Yes, they are.
Does he appear to be conscious?
Yes.
You were shown those photos by Perubkin or copies of those photos by Perubkin at that time in the apartment?
It would be, I believe they were Polaroid pictures. Yes.
All right. What was said or done at that time? Yes, after you observed those, Perubkin showed them to you. Did he show them to Gabrish too, if you recollect?
Officer Gabrish, myself, along with Mr. Dahmer and Mr. Simfon were all in a position to view those, yes.
And what happened then? Or was said or done at that point, after you looked at those photos?
Said or done by us or by...
Yes, by anybody in the room there.
I believe Mr. Dahmer made a statement that seemed, to me, he appeared to be a little embarrassed about it and made a statement or said something to the effect that everybody has to be into something.
Everybody has to be into something? And
right.
You drew some conclusions from that?
From the pictures and the statement, or from the
yes.
statement? To me, it appeared, yes.
All right, and what were those conclusions?
That there was a relationship of sorts between the two individuals.
Is there anything in the pictures that suggested to you that it either was consensual or non-consensual from looking at the pictures?
From the pictures, it appeared to be a consensual type of pose, a relaxed posing,
and you could
no
tell
distress of any sorts in the pictures.
Right, I'm sorry, would you read the rest of that answer?
I'm sorry.
It appeared to be a consensual type of pose, relaxed pose, no distress of any sort.
Did not appear to, and you could tell from looking at the pictures had been taken in the very apartment in which you were standing.
Yes.
What did that influence what then transpired, your decision, having seen those two pictures?
It just, to me, it just further substantiated my investigation, that of my partners, that everything was appeared to substantiate what Mr. Dahmer had related to us throughout the investigation.
What, if any, after those pictures were shown by Peruvkin, what if, and Mr. Dahmer said everybody's got to be into something, what did you then do or say?
At that time, I believe I spoke to Mr. Dahmer stating that if we or the police returned for similar behavior, then some action would be taken.
And this is referring to if synthesis phone lines is seen out on the street naked again, further action will be taken?
Yes.
And after, did he respond to that at all, Dahmer?
I believe he said something to the effect that he assured us that he'd take care of them and that they wouldn't occur again.
What, if anything, then was said or done?
At that point, we basically concluded our assignment and we left the apartment.
The three of you left the apartment, the three officers?
Right. There was, as we left, we made Mr. Simphone aware that we were leaving, as well as Mr. Dahmer, and we proceeded to leave.
Right. And did you leave?
Yes.
All right. During the time that you were there, had Mr. Synthesymphone done or said anything besides sitting on the couch?
No, he remained seated in an upright position by himself, and he just was watching what was happening in the apartment, just watching us and Mr. Dahmer.
During that time, did he say anything, Mr. Synthesymphone?
No, he did not.
During that time, was there a light on within the apartment?
There would have been some lights on, yes.
Did you make any additional observations as to any injuries of Mr. Synthesymphone?
The only injuries that I had observed on him or anyone, Mr. Dahmer or him, Mr. Dahmer had nothing to him. The only injuries I observed to Mr. Symphone was the abrasion to his knee.
When you were in the apartment in that fashion, had he kept the blanket around him, Synthesymphone?
I believe when he sat down, he relaxed regarding his holding the blanket around himself. There was no need to, he was not in the public's eye per se.
Had the blanket, how had the blanket been? Was it about his shoulders or his head or about his waist? In what fashion do you recollect this blanket had been about him?
Initially, when I first observed the blanket, I believe it was would have been around his shoulders, kind of draped over his shoulders and his back and his, basically coming just below to his thigh, and as he walked back to the apartment, it might have then gone to a lower, more like wrapped around his waist.
Right. This you would have seen from following in the squad car.
Yes.
And you had made observations of Mr. Dahmer in the alley. You said basically that he appeared neat, calm, hair in order, clothing in order. When you got into the building and had observations of him within the lighted apartment, did you add, was there anything more you added to those observations?
No, he remained calm and forthright to me, it appeared, through the entire investigation.
Now, after, when the three of you left, did Mr. Synthesymphone get up or do anything of that nature as the you three officers started to leave?
No, throughout our investigation, he made no physical or verbal communication with us.
Had you ever seen Mr. Synthesymphone before, to your knowledge?
To my recollection, I've never seen him before.
Had you ever seen Mr. Dahmer before, to your knowledge?
To my recollection, I've never seen him before.
To your recollection, have you ever been in that particular apartment before?
The apartment itself?
Not the building, okay. Just the apartment itself.
Not to my recollection, I've never been in there.
Right, were the Polaroid pictures left there? Do you know what Mr. Perubkin did with them?
I don't recall if he set them back. After briefly looking at them, he just held them up, and what he did with them after that, I don't recall.
Was Perubkin also a uniformed officer?
Yes, he was.
Right. So the Majeski, the fourth officer, did not enter the apartment at any time, I take it?
No, not that I recall.
Can you tell us, you've indicated that he was calm during this time. Let me ask some additional questions. Was Mr. Dahmer responsive to the questions you put to him?
Yes.
Did you at any time, as you went back and forth and re-questioned him on different points, was he inconsistent at any time in his responses to you?
No, he wasn't.
Did he appear to understand what you were asking of him?
Yes.
Did he appear incoherent at any time?
No.
Was he non-responsive to your questions at any time?
No.
Did you see any evidence of a delusion, that he was in a delusional state at that time?
No, he appeared to be a normal person.
Did he appear to you to be hallucinating at that time in any fashion?
No.
Did he appear to be in a stupor of any type?
No.
Did you form any opinion as to whether he had been drinking particularly that evening, if you recollect?
The only thing I could say that he did not appear to be intoxicated to me. As far as his possibly drinking, I wouldn't be able to say.
Did he appear to you to be in any way out of touch with reality?
No.
While you were in the apartment, did you smell anything unusual, if you recollect?
No.
Come on. Come
How long were you in
on.
the apartment, the time that you were actually in the apartment itself?
The exact time I couldn't give you.
Not the exact time, approximate time.
Maybe 5 to 8 minutes or so.
How much time transpired from the time you initially started to talk to Mr. Dahmer in the alley until the time you walked out of the apartment? How much time frame are we talking about?
Maybe about 20 minutes or so. The exact time, again, I wasn't watching my wristwatch. So.
And thereafter, after you left the apartment, you returned to another assignment?
After leaving, we went into service and attempted to go and to clean up.
Okay. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
I have relatively few questions, Officer Baldwin. If my client informed me that one of the officers took a flashlight and looked from the top of Mr. Symphone's head to the bottom of his feet, would that have been you or another officer who was present?
No, it was not me.
Okay. You never saw any signs of blood other than this small abrasion on the knee, correct?
To Mr. Symphone? Yes, that's all.
Okay. Now, when you went back into the apartment, did you have to go back into the apartment? Was there any violation of law that you saw as far as what Mr. Dahmer was doing?
In regards to Mr. Dahmer, you say?
Yeah.
No, there was nothing.
You couldn't have arrested him if you wanted to, correct?
No, that's correct.
So when you went back into the apartment, you were going back there to make sure that everything was okay?
That's correct.
And when you got into the apartment, did you see any violations of law in your presence that you could have effectuated an arrest for?
No.
Did Mr. Dahmer, did there come a time, Mr. Dahmer recalls one of the officers checking the clothes of this young man were all folded neatly? Did you see how they were folded?
I recall that they were laid out on the couch, but not as to how they were folded. They were not strewn around the apartment or not.
That's, I mean, you didn't see just clothes that like had been ripped off or pulled off.
No, not at all. They were put in place.
And if it was reported that one of the officers was looking for ID by touching the trousers, was that you or another officer?
I don't recall if that was me doing that or not, but...
Do you recall Mr. Dahmer saying you won't find any ID in those pants, but he doesn't carry his ID? Did you hear that?
No, I don't recall that.
You don't recall hearing that? Okay. You couldn't have left the area of that living room based upon what you've seen and going around that apartment even if you wanted to, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, this makes you mad.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Redirect.
Son of a bitch!
Give me a step down, sir. Thank you.
All right, that is it for that motherfucker. Yeah, it's hard to even hear that, man. We're going to go to number 44. Get down here. Number 44. Sopa Princewell. Who is Sopa Princewell? 44 minutes with Sopa Princewell. This might be the last video today on Murder Church. The complex manager of Dahmer's apartment takes to stand. Interesting. Okay. So this man must have been getting complaints on the regular, I would imagine, right? Before we go into that real quick, I do just want to, first of all, plug the show after this. Immediately after this, you're going to be portaled again. You're going to go over to Jay's channel, and he's got a banger show today. He's got Mac and Joe on, and his wife, Shannon. It's going to be the whole crew. They're going to be talking about lists. They're going to be giving you an update on Rex Kierman and what's going on, and maybe some more potential possible other victims that are being linked to him. So you don't have to go anywhere. You're going to be getting linked straight into that, portaled. Boom, tuck all arms and legs and limbs inside. You don't want to lose any. And yeah, hopefully you'll be portaled over there when you get there. Give it a like. Get ready to rock and roll because it should be shortly before it starts. Also, please like this as we continue down this road. Share this out. Again, everyone that has been hanging out all morning, thank you all so much. Absolutely appreciate it. Everybody that's donated, all the new members. I see we got 6 new members. Thank you all so much. Amazing morning. And then also we have a little bit of new merch happening. I forgot to pop it up this morning. I did mention it. But yeah, a couple of new shirts in the store. Dank for everything shirt rocking and rolling right now. And then we also finally got the Only Dan's Just the Tips shirt. This is the one that I was wanting to get done for a good while, so I went in there and tried my best to copy the Only Fans design, and I made it Only Dan's, just the tips. So yeah, go check out the merch stand over on Publicly Buzzed. Boom. And we will be right back after these messages from a stream. Boom. Let's rock and roll, baby. I see Shelly rolling through here late for Murder Church, but she's here. That's what I like to see. Welcome in, baby. Welcome in. Hell yeah. Holy shit, Shalma just came through here. What is going on, dude? What is happening? Wow. That's unbelievable. Wow, anybody that does not know Shalma, that's unbelievable. And his message got taken out. What the hell? Shalma, what's happening? An insane channel. Anybody that probably clicks on and goes to his channel probably has seen his work in the past. Yeah, what is going on, dude? Good morning. And Seabold also. What's going on, guys? Thank y'all for coming through here to Murder Church. Unbelievable. Yeah, Shalma is the guy that goes to these all these different countries. He lives in New York. He goes to a lot of different places and learns these different languages, and then goes and talks to people and blows their fucking minds. Like, I learned about this guy well before my buddy Seabolt, who popped up in the chat here, became friends with him and started working with him. But this dude is crazy, dude. He's absolutely mind-blowing. He is a language savant. Make sure you're giving that guy a follow. He is unbelievable. Thanks for hanging out, though, man.
I swear all the testimony you're about to give this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please be seated, sir. And sir, would you tell us your name and spell your last name for us?
Excuse me. My name is Sopa Princewell. Last name Princewell, Princewell.
How do you spell your first name?
Sopa is S-O-P-A.
Just pull the mic a little closer to you, Mr. Princewell. Thanks. How were you employed?
Pardon me?
How were you employed?
I was employed to be the resident manager of the building in which Jeffrey used to live.
Okay. And is that located at 924 North 25th Street?
Positive.
Yes. And is that in the city and county of Milwaukee?
That's correct.
Okay. And during the course of that employment, Did you regularly come in contact with the person you've mentioned, Jeffrey Dahmer?
Yes, I can recollect a few occasions when I had come in contact with him.
Okay. And is he seated in the courtroom now?
I stipulate to his identification.
Okay. All right. And Mr. Princewell, you came here from Nigeria in the 70s, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and you hold a bachelor's degree in business administration from University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee?
That's right.
And the way you know Jeff Dahmer is he lived in the apartment building that you were the manager of, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, was Mr. Dahmer committed to a lease in this building?
Yes, I remember he was in the building before I got employed there.
Yeah, this gentleman here had to have had endless complaints about smells and noises happening from this apartment. This man was using a drill on his victims regularly in the early morning hours, while also combined with the smell that's seeping through the vents. Not just any smell, the smell of death, of bodies melting in canisters. Ugh.
And at the end of his first year, he renewed his lease with me.
Okay. And does that lease last for a year?
Yes, the lease runs for 1 year.
Okay. And it's renewable on May of each year?
Yes.
Okay. When you first started your job, when did you first start working in the Oxford apartments?
I remember I was hired to be manager at the building in July 10 of 1990.
Okay. And do you recall your first contact with Mr. Dahmer after you were hired to be manager of the building?
Yes, I believe the first contact I had with him was...
Yes, Maxie.
Sometime in July, towards the end of the July.
In 1990?
In 1990, when he asked me to put a lock on his mailbox.
And did you do that?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember anything else about that contact?
I believe he was very grateful that I put a lock for him.
Did you have any contact with him in August of that year?
Yes, in August of 1990, we had complaints from residents about the smell that's going through the building.
Did you talk to Mr. Dahmer about that?
Yes, I did. I called him to my office and discussed with him. And he told me that he was sorry that it happened, but his freezer broke, and he had about $150 worth of meat getting spoiled.
When you talked with him, did he appear nervous or uncomfortable?
Well, while we were speaking, he did not appear abnormal. He was quite normal.
Did you then go up to his apartment to look in that freezer?
Yes, I decided to verify that it was the freezer.
And did you go up to his apartment then?
That's right.
What apartment number was that?
It's the apartment number 213.
And when you went into that apartment, did you notice a bad smell?
I didn't notice any bad smell when I got into the apartment, but because he said it was his deep freezer that broke, he opened it for me, and then I took a look into it.
And what did you see when you looked into it?
I saw normal grocery kind of meat on top.
Like chicken?
I believe it looked like steak.
And was it wrapped in a store wrapper?
That's right.
Did he explain why he hadn't cleaned out this freezer when the meat went bad?
Well, he complained about working too hard in the night and that he gets tired.
Did you offer to do anything at that point?
Yes, I was very concerned about the smell and I offered to help him clean it.
And did you do that?
No.
What happened?
He told me not to worry about it. He will take care of it.
And did he take care of that?
I believe he did because the smell actually subsided after that.
In your building, does the management regularly bring in exterminators or pest control?
Yes, we have regular spraying of apartments against pests.
Can you estimate how frequently you'll have pest control come in and spray the apartments in a given year?
Please stop wiggling, sir.
We call in the exterminator once in a month. And the building has 4 sections of about 12 apartments each. And he comes to spray one section every month. And then we rotate.
So would that be about 3 times a year it would hit each apartment?
Yeah, likely, very likely, 3 times.
Did they ever go into Mr. Dahmer's apartment?
No.
Why not?
Well, normally when it's time for the pest control guy to come in, I usually send a notice to every apartment that would be sprayed. And I remember once when I was in the section where apartment 213 was, Jeff didn't accept the service. He told me that he will be using borax acid.
Did that seem like a reasonable explanation to you?
Well, it was in the point of the operating costs for the business, you know. There is a charge to every apartment that's sprayed, and so if he doesn't want it, then we are going to save some money, so I thought that was reasonable.
Was there ever any complaint about pests coming out of Mr. Dahmer's apartment, that he wasn't taking care of it?
No.
Okay. In your time as manager, did any other tenant reject bringing in pest control into their apartment?
Not that I can remember.
While you were a manager, you suggested earlier that there came a time when Jeff Dahmer was given the opportunity to renew his lease?
Yes.
About when did that take place?
Well, his lease was going to run 1 year from the time he got into the apartment. And our company usually send out lease renewal papers 2 months ahead.
And
so it should be around March.
And was the company at that time willing to renew his lease?
Yes.
And was Mr. Dahmer willing to renew his lease at that time?
Yes, I took the papers to him, and at the first time I went, I didn't get him, so I tried to locate him, and he came to the office and signed his renewal.
When people renew their lease with your company, does the management offer any services as a premium for renewing the lease?
Yes, the company offers one of 2 things. The resident would either choose to get his apartment repainted or the carpet cleaned.
And did you offer either of those services to Mr. Dahmer?
Normally, I did.
And what was his reply?
He didn't want his carpet cleaned or his apartment repainted.
Did he tell you why?
He didn't tell me why, but he said he usually likes to clean his carpet by himself.
Did you ever see him do that?
I remember seeing him once when he got cleaning machine that he used.
Did any other tenant reject those services?
No, not that I can remember.
You already told us about confronting Mr. Dahmer about the odor problem in August of 1990. Did there come another time when you had to talk to Mr. Dahmer about this?
Yes, I remember.
When was that?
This was late May of 1991.
And how did you become that there was an odor problem? How did you find that out? How did you become aware of that?
Yeah, how did you find that out, bud? Which call? Which number of calls? Lord.
There was a resident, a potential resident, who had wanted to rent an apartment directly above from him. And I had gone to set up the apartment against the 1st of June. But I couldn't stay to set it up because of the odor.
What did you do when you had problems just staying in that apartment?
Well, I knew that the odor was coming from his apartment because we had already known that before.
Mandy just gifted out a membership. What are you doing? What are you doing, Mandy? Boom. I'm going to butcher this one. Makyk? M-A-K-Y-K. Welcome to being a member. Only Mandy would gift it out, and of course it would be one I can't say, but welcome. Thank you so much. Love it. Love it. I'll butcher her name now. And let me also, first of all, let me give you one of these right here. Welcome to the party, boom. Pal. And let's give you some brewskis right real quick. Boom. Pour a couple of these satisfying pours out on the screen. Thank you so much, and welcome to being a member here at Publicly Buzzed. Absolutely loving it. Thank you, Mandy, also. Appreciate that. That's amazing. So good. What an awesome morning again. You never know who's going to pop through here on Murder Church. Murder Church has become the spot for celebrities. I'm just going to say it. It's insane who pops through the chat on a Murder Church. Absolutely unbelievable. Thank you all, man. Crazy.
So I had to start looking for him.
Was it similar to the odor you had noticed in August of 1990?
Yes, it was similar, but it's much stronger.
Did you ever find Mr. Dahmer at that time?
Yes, I did, and I asked him, excuse me, I asked him what's the problem again.
Go.
Because
best people
I told
right
him
here.
The lady moving upstairs, you know, is not going to be able to do so because of the smell, and that he's messing up our business.
When you confronted him, was he angry with you?
No, he wasn't angry with me.
Did he appear nervous or upset or anxious when you confronted him?
No.
How did he explain the odor?
Well, he told me that it was his fish tank. He has claimed that 2 fishes had died in his fish tank, and he hadn't dumped them, and they started smelling.
Did you go into his apartment at that time?
Yes, I did.
And did he show anything to you to suggest that it had anything to do with his fish tank?
Well, I was curious what the smell was all about, and he said, oh, it might be the plastic container that he had in his closet. It's about nearly 3 feet high, about 1.5 feet in diameter.
Did you go and
as
look
a lid?
Okay. Did you go and look at that plastic container?
MJ gonna come through with $10. Murder Church is my only religion. You know what? That's the best thing I've heard so far, MJ. Holy shit. Boom. And we know who sent MJ. Kaylin sent MJ, ladies and gentlemen. MJ, thank you so much. Seriously, appreciate the hell out of that. That's amazing. So that's up there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was right in the apartment when he said that it might be the plastic container. So I moved nearer to see, and I said, where is it? He opened it, and I looked in, and a very strong chemical smell hit me. So I had to move quickly backward and told him that must go.
Was there anything in that container?
Oh, shit. I hit it, but I was trying to hit post Pokes-Bubba hell yeah, and I hit it by mistake. Lakota, $2.99 coming through with a, what is that? Oh shit, a little, I see some pom-poms, and I'm not sure what the hell is holding the pom-poms. Is that a pear maybe? No, that's some kind of puff. Some kind of Jigglypuff type thing. Looking character there. I don't know. Lakota, thank you so much. Absolutely unbelievable. Love it. Got the party pumping here today, this morning. About to hit noon. Oh, we just went over noon. 12:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, 55 minutes till a stream that is going to be coming at you that is going to knock your socks off over on J-Bo Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be incredible. And again, the portal is going to take you directly there after this as you get an update on the List case, the Long Island serial killer case that is being, they're actively trying to tie more people to this man, and it's probably going to happen, unfortunately and sadly. But on the bright side, maybe we can get some of the cold cases maybe caught up to somebody like him and get some kind of justice for some of the families out here. But you're going to be getting Joe Jackalone and Mac Cheryl McCollum hanging out with Jay and Shannon, immediately after Murder Church. Man, thank you so much, everybody. Been crazy this morning. It's such a good one.
There was nothing in the container, but it has very strong chemical odor that hit me.
Did you ever see him throw out that container?
Well, when I told him that must go, I left the apartment. And about 5 to 10 minutes later, he called me and showed it to me in the dumpster.
And is that dumpster located outside of your apartment building?
Yes, the dumpster is located in the back of the building.
Did the smell go down then?
Not quite. The smell was still there.
Oh, really?
And,
so it wasn't the fish tank?
I didn't know what it was, but I was worried that if he can, if he can clean up his apartment, I was thinking that he's not a good resident.
Mm-hmm. Other than the smell in the apartment, did the apartment appear to be disorderly in any way?
No, I would think that his apartment was very neat compared to most others that I've ever got into.
Did there come a third time when you confronted Mr. Dahmer about the smell coming from his apartment?
Yes, I remember around the second week of July, 1991.
And what did you tell him?
At that time, I told him that if he cannot clean up, then I would think he has to go, because that's the last time I want to tolerate the smell.
Did he get angry with you?
No, he wasn't.
Did he seem anxious or nervous or upset in any way?
No.
Did he explain what caused the odor on that day?
Well, he didn't explain anything at that point, but he kept promising that he would take care of it.
When he was making these promises, was he being pleasant with you?
Yes.
So uncomfortable. So uncomfortable.
Did you at any time call your management office regarding Mr. Dahmer's tenancy at 924 North 25th Street?
Yes, I remember this was...
Imagine doing this in an apartment complex, guys.
I had called
Think about
because
that.
I warned him that that was the last time I was going to tolerate the smell. I did call the main office to put that in writing to him.
At some point, did Mr. Dahmer talk with you about a security system he was planning on installing in his apartment?
Yes, I remember. That was after the first confrontation. I remember this should be around either September or October of 1990. He had called me up and asked me whether he needed the permission of the company to put a security system.
And did he need that permission?
I told him he didn't need a permission to do that.
As part of that discussion, did he request to put extra locks on his hallway door?
He didn't put any lock on his hallway door, but I remember he has.
Shit, Shannon. Finally making it through. She's been talking in the Discord saying that she could not get her messages to come through here on chats, but she got this $4.99 to come through here now with the hype. Boom. Yeah, thank you so much, Shannon. Appreciate it. I can't gift a membership until my month is up, so here's $4.99 instead. No, thank you so much. That's amazing. Holy shit. Love it. Thank you so much. That's amazing.
Signs of alarm system on the door.
Does your management company permit tenants to put extra locks on their outside doors, the ones facing the hallway?
Some of them did, but I can remember there was none on his outside door.
At some point, you had a discussion with Mr. Dahmer in a McDonald's restaurant located near your apartment building. Is that correct?
That's right.
When did that take place?
I remember this would be around the first week of July.
1991?
1991, right.
What did you and Mr. Dahmer talk about there?
Well, I had wanted to talk to him to know if he could be a business partner of mine.
And do you recall what that conversation was about? What sort of business were you in? Or are you in?
Well, I'm a real estate broker, and I sometimes rehabilitate properties. At the time, I had one on hand, so I was looking for somebody who might be able to be a partner.
And you thought that Jeffrey Dahmer would be an appropriate partner for you at that time?
Well, I figured that I could talk to him to see whether he will be one.
And did you ever decide to go into business with Mr. Dahmer?
No, I didn't. Because
thank God.
We were not talking about the partnership. I was explaining to him my experience with the property.
But did you ever get to the point where you actually were discussing going into business together or not?
No.
Okay. How many times would you say you were in Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment during the course of your managing the property at 924 North 25th Street?
Yeah, I have been in his apartment at least 3 times.
In your experience, was that apartment generally kept in good order?
Yes, it was a pretty clean apartment.
Compared to other apartments you've been in at that same address, how did Mr. Dahmer's apartment rate?
Well, it's probably the neatest apartment I've seen.
Did anything about it strike you as odd or unusual, other than the things that caused the odor?
No.
In all the times you spoke with him, did you ever believe he was having hallucinations?
No, I
that one caught me off guard too, guys.
Did you ever think he was hearing voices?
No.
Were you able to carry on a regular conversation with him?
Yes, I did.
Did he ever strike you as incoherent?
No.
Did he ever strike you as irrational?
No.
Did you ever think that he was out of touch with reality in any way?
No.
Based on your observations of his manner, demeanor, actions, and conversations you had with him, what impression did he leave on your mind?
I thought he was a nice guy at the time.
In fact, you were willing to ask him to be your business partner, is that correct?
That's right.
No further questions.
Cross-examination.
Mr. Princewell, there is a lot of things as far as dates are concerned, of times that you were in the apartment. I'd like to go through those with you if I could, starting with August of '90. You indicated that at that time that was the first time that you were in his apartment, or the first time that you smelled anything?
It was the first time that residents complained about the smell.
Okay, now you had just started there in, was it correct, of July of '90?
That's right.
So you'd been there approximately 1 month when this first began, as far as somebody complaining about an odor.
Pardon me?
Okay, you started in July.
Yes.
1990. And the first time you heard any complaints was in August of 1990.
Right.
Okay. I understand that he was in May of 1990. Is that when he had signed his lease that you're aware of?
I'm not aware of.
Okay, that's fine.
When he got in.
Okay. So now this first time in May of 1990 that you indicated that there was a complaint, had you gone to his apartment?
Your Honor, I believe the testimony was...
Yes, after talking to him.
Just wait, one at a time.
I believe the testimony was August of 1990. Counsel misspoke and said May of 1990.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. Excuse me, August of 1990. First complaint. I don't mean to confuse you. In August of 1990, had you gone to his apartment when there was a problem with some odor?
Yes, after the complaint about the smell, and somebody actually identified his apartment as the source of the smell. So I had called and talked to him in the office and went with him to his apartment.
Okay. Do you recall giving a statement to some police officers relative to this? Sometime back after this all broke, you spoke with some police officers in '91 relative to this incident, isn't that correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Back then, you'd indicated that at that time, there was, they went into room 205 instead of 213 because they thought perhaps somebody had died in there. Is that not correct?
Yes, that was an incident that is connected to we are trying to trace the source of the smell.
Okay. So after you went into 205 and found that there was nothing there, you eventually found out it was from 213, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, and how'd you go about doing that?
There was a resident that identified his apartment.
I'm sorry?
A resident identified his apartment as the source of the
Oh,
smell.
so the person who complained was the one who actually said that's the area that he smelled it coming from.
The person that, the resident who told me about it lives right across from him.
Okay. And what excuse did he give at that time?
He said his deep freezer broke and he had meat.
I know he said deep freezer broke, but for 2 seconds his dick freezer broke, and I was like, whoa!
In it that's getting spoiled.
Okay. Was this the time that you had actually gone in and looked in the freezer?
That's right.
Okay. So you went into his apartment, you said, Jeff, we have a complaint here, there's a problem that there's a bad odor. Now when you walked in, did you smell it?
When I walked in, I didn't smell anything in his apartment.
You did not?
No.
Okay. And
But he had opened the freezer for me to take a look.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And as you opened it, did a smell come out at that point?
I did smell it a little bit, but not as strong as it was outside.
So it was stronger outside of the apartment rather than inside?
Right.
And stronger, outside rather than in the freezer?
That's right.
Okay. When you looked in the freezer, you saw packages of meat, correct?
That's correct.
And these packages of meat were just packed up in plain old wrapping paper, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
Doesn't make any sense, right?
Okay, the second time, well, first of all, let
Now
me
to
just ask one
Dixie.
question. How much time did you actually spend in the apartment at that particular instance?
I normally don't stay any length of time. I just went there to verify the source of the smell. And so after
Shit.
I opened...
Shit. Chanel coming through with the $4.99. I'm gonna read it out. I hope that he can't hear me. Okay, I don't want any beef. Hubby might be in his feels today, but I'm in my church with the J-Buzz Nation peeps, so he can stay in his feels while I pass the plate. Thank you so much, Shannon. I love it. I'll give you some love. I give you some love, baby.
The freezer to me, and I saw the meat on the top of it. I had to leave. It's just a brief moment of time.
So 5-10 minutes?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. What, if anything, did you tell him to do about it? I mean, if they didn't have any smell there at all, that you thought there was a problem, did you just leave figuring that, well, the freezer's fixed now, so the problem's taken care of?
Well, after the first encounter, we didn't smell anything till the next year.
Okay. Now, the second time I have here was indicated that it was a few months later that there was a person found in apartment 308 that had been strangled. Now, was there a complaint at that time that there was any odor in the apartment building?
Well, the person was strangled sometime in May of, probably the first part of May 1991.
Okay, so you were saying that your statement here would be incorrect, that it was just a few months after August of 90 that this in fact happened in apartment 308. I'm just trying to get a triangle.
I don't understand you. Please, could you repeat that?
Sure.
Page around.
Certainly.
Need to clarify.
Son of a bitch!
Dan's a fantastic man.
Burn!
Okay, I'm not trying to confuse you or anything. I'm just trying to get down these times correctly, okay? So there's an indication here that you had stated that the second time was a few months after the first incident, and that was, the first one was August, so we're saying a few months, so let's say maybe August, September, October, November, around that area of 1990, that there was a person who was strangled up in 308. Now, because of the fact that you had stated this in here, when you gave your statement, was it because of an odor, or were you just making a comment to the fact that there was somebody who was strangled in 308? Do you recall that at all?
The case of 308 is not a part of this case.
Okay, okay. So that wasn't as a result of any odors?
Odors don't strangle people.
Okay. The next time then you've indicated was around May 27th or so of 1991. And this is the incident right on or about the time of the Conrack synthesis and phone incident. Is that correct?
I'm not sure what it is, but I remember that is a period of time when I've started to smell the odor again.
Okay. Now, was this the same kind of smell that you smelled the first time?
Yes.
Okay. Was it heavier this time?
A little stronger.
Okay.
A little
Now,
more
at that point in
decomposing. Different level.
What did you do then? You went to check the apartment again, is that correct?
Well, I had to look for him.
Okay.
I had to look for Jeffrey and asked him what's wrong again this time. And he said his fish tank might be smelling because he had 2 fishes died. And I had asked him why he doesn't like to dump it if the fish is dead. the next thing it will start to smell. Why would he have to keep them?
How many tenants complained about the smell at that time?
Almost every tenant.
Every tenant in the entire building?
Almost.
Okay. Did you go up to his apartment on that occasion?
Yes, I did.
And you went in?
I went inside and I was trying to locate what is really smelling.
Okay, did you see the fish tank?
I didn't see it, but he suggested that he had used the container, the plastic containers, to empty the fish tank, and that may be what's smelling.
Okay.
So I went closer to him, and he opened up the lid of the container.
Okay, so this container was where? Was it in his closet or was it sitting out?
It was in his closet.
Okay, so he had brought you into his closet. There wasn't anything else unusual in that closet that you
He
saw?
was giving this guy the walk around, a full tour, a full MTV Cribs rendition. Come on in, hang out, bud. Look at the fish tank. That's just a dead fish. The smell that you're smelling, that horrendous smell that is absolutely assaulting your nostrils right now, not just a dead fish, bud.
Well, I don't know, because there were 2 containers. He only opened one to me.
Okay, and that one that he opened, he'd indicated that at one point in time that he lifted the lid off the barrel. The pungent odor brought tears to his eyes and caused him to step back, and the smell was so strong. Do you recall saying that?
Yes, I had to tell him that must go.
So it smelled that bad that it brought tears to your eyes?
Yeah, it was very strong. I had to.
Did you say to him at the time, my God, how could you live in such a place that it smells so bad?
No, I didn't say nothing like that to him.
You didn't ask him any questions about it whatsoever?
No, but I asked him that he should get rid of that container.
Did you find it unusual
Get rid of
that it would do
this.
something of such a nature?
Well, it was a little unusual, but I couldn't connect it to anything at the time.
Okay. How much time did you spend in the apartment at that incident?
Very briefly, about 5 to 8 minutes.
I counted every second. That smell
Right now, the last
will
time
never leave my
that
brain.
you had a problem relative to the smell was it in June or July of 91?
The smell continued from the end of May through July.
Okay. Did the smell increase? Was there a progression of the odor being worse and worse?
Well, it just remained fairly the same.
Pardon?
It remained fairly the same.
Between May and
Just
July?
the worst
But you had noticed
possible
a distinct
smell that
increase
you could
between
imagine.
the time in August of 90 from the time that all of a sudden you smelled it on a consistent basis in May of 91, is that right?
That's right.
Okay. Now, in July 91, this was when you were attempting to rent the apartment 313 above it, is that correct?
I rented the apartment 313 in June.
Excuse me, June. I didn't mean to confuse you. And that was when you yourself smelled it from the apartment 313?
That's right.
Were there any other complaints from any other tenants?
Of course, there are a lot of them complaining.
Okay.
But I already knew the source of the smell.
Okay, so was there a constant complaint of the odor between May, June, and July?
Yes.
Okay. So this time, did you go into his apartment once again?
For a third time, I didn't go into his apartment. I just wanted him to know that he's not going to stay there if he doesn't get rid of the smell.
How did you convey that to him? Did you go to his apartment, or did you put a letter in his mailbox?
I saw him in the hallway and told him.
And he had indicated to you at that time that, what? That he was going to get rid of the smell?
Well, he kept promising to get rid of the smell, but I told him that that was the last time I can tolerate it.
Okay.
And so I had to contact my office to put that in writing to him.
So, in any event, at that point in time, did you have a mindset that he was going to be evicted no matter what because of the odor?
That's what I had in mind.
Had you started these proceedings as far as through your office to have him evicted?
No, we haven't started proceedings.
But the decision pretty much had been made in your mind that
That's right.
he just didn't listen to you, did he?
Well, he did listen, but I guess he hadn't got any way to get around it.
Okay. How much time would you say from the moment that you met Mr. Dahmer to the last time that you had seen Mr. Dahmer that you had spent with him? In or out of the apartment? With him?
Well, I would say the longest time that I spent with him was when I was with him at the restaurant where he had a coffee and I had picked up breakfast to go.
Okay. In the entire time that you've known him, how much time would you say that you've spent with him in his apartment?
I haven't spent anything beyond 10 minutes in his apartment.
Okay. You said 5-10 minutes the first time, about 5-8 minutes the second time, and the third time you never went into his apartment.
No.
Okay. When did he have the alarm system put in?
I'm not sure when, but it was after the first encounter in 1980. I mean, August of 1990.
Do you have any idea, was that yet in 1990 or was that not until 1991? Do you have any basis of recollection whatsoever?
I would think it is in 1990.
Okay. You'd indicated before about the locks on the doors. Did he ask for additional
I agree,
locks on the doors on
Megzy.
the
I don't think he was able to smell it either.
outside, for the outside door?
Just got used to it.
It's not an outside door. We have passage locks for bedroom doors. And he had his own lock on the bedroom door instead of a passage lock.
Okay. Mr. Princewell, when you met with Mr. Dahmer at the restaurant relative to this business, how long had you met with him there?
I went to the restaurant to pick up a breakfast, and I saw him. And I thought maybe he was gonna go home right away. He's my resident, and I thought we could work together. That's why I stayed to wait for him.
Okay.
He wanted to stay and drink his coffee. And then I thought maybe it wouldn't take too long so I can wait for him so both of us can walk home.
Okay. Did you in fact walk home with him?
Well, I didn't because he decided that he was going downtown.
Okay. So just for the time that you were with him, how much time did you spend with him? Would you approximate?
It was nearly 20 minutes.
About 20 minutes?
Right.
During that time, you had a conversation relative to a business. Did you want him as a salesman or as an investor in your business?
I had wanted him to be as an investor.
An investor?
Yes.
And what made you think he had money?
Nothing further.
This guy's a terrible businessman.
Now, Mr. Princewell, you've talked to a lot of police people and people from the Attorney General's office and all kinds of folks about what's happened in this case. Is that correct?
Well, as far as I can recall.
And do you remember talking with Special Agents Kim Skorlinski and David Collins on August 14th, 1991.
It's crazy.
That's right.
It's crazy.
And on that date,
Like, the truth is stranger than fiction, folks.
do you remember telling them...
That's all I've learned in the true crime community.
That the second time Jeff Dahmer would have talked to the police would have been a few months ago when someone was found strangled in apartment 308. That was on August. You would have said a few months ago.
That's right.
So when we're talking about a few months, you're talking about April or May of 1991, is that correct?
Yes.
And that's what you told these investigators on that day.
Right.
And so the few months dealt with his second time dealing with the police, not his second time dealing with you. Is that correct?
That's right.
When you met with Mr. Dahmer in the McDonald's restaurant, that was in July of 1991?
That's correct.
Do you remember if it was the first week, second week, third week?
I can't remember exactly when, but I remember it was during the period that we have got the problem of the stronger smell, and I had told him to try to clean up or he would be going.
Okay. And at that time, you wanted to talk to him a little bit about going into business with you. Is that correct?
Well, of course, even though I had given him a warning, I didn't expect that it was a really bad situation that I cannot talk to him.
Mm-hmm. And at that time, you thought he might be a good person to talk to some of your other clients.
That's right.
No further questions.
Brother Cross?
No, Your Honor.
You may step down, sir. We'll take a recess at this point. Court's in.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be wrapping Murder Church up this week. Let's see what we're going into next week. That was number 44, Sopa Princewell. Next week, 45, James Poets Jr., Kyle Wally, and Steve Altman. All three will be on the stand out the gate. We'll see where that goes with time, and yeah, we'll see where we end up. It'll be week 17 of Murder Church. That's absolutely insane to me. Again, as soon as you leave here, you will be portaled immediately into the link that I just now was promoting on Twitter, on YouTube. It is the stream immediately after this that Jay is putting on with Mac and Joe. That is going to be, let's see what he's actually called it here. Rex Heuermann, List Crime Scene Analysis with Joe Jackalone and Cheryl Mack McCollum. It's going to be good as a fuck. It's going to be great. It's going to be good as hell. Yeah, thanks everyone again. Again, we have some new shirts in the shop. Go check those out. Only Dan shirt, Dank shirt, classic shirts are still there as well. Yeah, I got some stickers on order as well. I got Murder Church stickers and J-Buzz Nation stickers coming as well. So be on the lookout for those. Everyone that's hung out today and donated and become members, you guys are absolutely amazing. You guys keep this thing rocking and rolling and cranking. The next time you will see me will most likely be Tuesday night. We'll see what we can come up with for a show. And yeah, keep your eyes out for videos per usual. Make sure you're subbed up. Make sure the three little dots on the side are clicked and all notifications are turned on so you don't miss anything from Publicly Buzzed. And I will see you. I don't know if I'll be in this live in the chat or not. Immediately when I get off here, I'm going to probably go have to do some stuff with the old lady. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'll be watching that on the replay crew, but it's going to be an absolutely insane panel. It's going to be unbelievable. All the mods that came through here today, thank you all so much. You guys are amazing. Congrats again to Kaylin on the 40K. Absolutely unbelievable. Mandy, thank you so much. Hope you have a good Sunday. I hope everybody has a good Sunday. Love it. Oh, thank you, Lita. Boom. Lita! Lakota making it through. Tangled, thank you. Say No to Globalism. Jennifer, Dizzy, Bobby. Hope you have a great day. Bonnie, Viv, Charlotte, everybody that hung out and just, put it on the background as you went through your morning. You guys are the real MVPs. Thank y'all so much. As you head out the door, if you haven't, please hit that like. And yeah, I'm going to set you up with the portal. Appreciate it, guys. And yeah, I'll see you Tuesday.